I see it train moving all too fast, but I'm not leaving. And you go round and round and round, and you cannot see. I'll be right behind you, a hawk in the tree. You look so beautiful today, and now the game is changing. Just like a stranger, suddenly knows everything.
Good afternoon and welcome to the final testing stream of 2020. It's almost all over already. Those 6 days have gone so fast, and the last live stream for probably quite a while. So let's enjoy this one, have a bit of fun. I've got Aldas with me this afternoon, so I'm sure there'll be lots of heated conversation and debate. Not like abusive or anything like that, I hope. I hope not. But yes, as I said in chat there, we are live for the final time for testing, live streaming once again, or live timing provided by gptoday.net. So thank you very much once again to those guys, in case I forget to say it before the end of the stream, for providing that for me. And for all the images as well, they come from gptoday.net too. So thank you for that. Thank you to everyone who's donated towards the mic and setup upgrades as well. We've smashed through both of the targets we set. So thank you so much for that one. And don't forget, of course, you can subscribe to the channel if you are new. Video content returns next week. Drop a like as well on the stream. Let's get loads of likes, seeing as this is the last one. Let's make it the best one in terms of likes. And of course, you can follow me on social media as well. That was not Kevin Magnussen going fastest. I had to take a deep breath there. Got very excited. If you missed it this morning, it's been one of them days. Daniel Ricciardo set the fastest time, as you can see there, on the C5 tyres with a 1:16.2. Did 65 laps as well, which is pretty cool. Charles Leclerc, 75 laps, 1:16.376. No, sorry, C5 tyres, 1:16.376 laps. We'll try that again. Lewis Hamilton was on the C5s as well, did a 16.4 on 90 laps. Sergio Perez, curious. C3 tyres, 1:16.6, 43 laps. Sainz, C4 tyre, 1:16.8 on 65 laps. George Russell for Williams, C5 tyre, 1:16.8 on 43 laps. 59 laps for Daniel Kvyat, C4 tyre, 1:16.9. Romain Grosjean ran the C4 for his fastest lap, which was 1:17.0, and that was 86 laps. Kimi Raikkonen, 62 laps, 1:17.4 his fastest on the C5, and Alex Albon, a 1:17.8 on the C3 tyre. I was going to say only 59 laps. He had a few issues, had a spin, I think it was turn 3 or 4, something like that, which cost him a little bit of time in the afternoon, probably about an hour and a half, I would say. So not ideal, but I've not seen anything from... Just checking their Twitter now. Nothing from Red Bull on whether there was a technical issue caused by that spin or that caused that spin. So bit odd one there, but he never went out again. So not a huge number of laps, but 59 laps, not too bad, I would say, for Alex Albon. I've got loads of other stats as well to go through. So all sorted. In terms of on track at the moment, we've got Daniel Ricciardo in the pits. So we've got Leclerc out on track, Russell, Kvyat, Raikkonen, Ocon and Magnussen. We've also got Max Verstappen just about to head out on track. And we believe, according to the commentary team over on the old TV, that Charles Leclerc is on a race run. So we'll keep an eye on those stints, and I will let you know what those stints are, probably via F1 Debrief on Twitter when they go up a little bit later on. Franz in chat. Clearly the driver that is fastest today will be world champion. flash to Annette, who's just sat there with her fingers crossed going, come on, please. That'd be amazing. But yeah, no, I doubt it. It's testing. We'll use that caveat again. We've used it a lot. Look at that column on the right. We were having this discussion this morning. It's the laps that really matter. But I'm hoping, really hoping, we get some hot laps a little bit later on. So yes, it'd be good to see some proper good lappage. Is that a thing? It is now. We're going with lapping. Yes, let's go find a guest. Hang on a minute. Let's see if I can get this right. I am organised today. You may not believe I'm organised, but I really am somewhat organised. Good afternoon, Aldas, mate. Good to have you back with me. Let's have another good Friday afternoon. I think he's there. He might be. I can hear noise.
Hello, can you hear me?
He's there. You see, he's there.
Am I in?
You'd be there. You are in. I was nervous then. I was like, oh my God, he's gone. It's over. How you doing, mate? Maybe not. I think we're still playing issues here. Bear with me on Discord. I don't know what's going on. He will shout me when he's ready. He's got me, I think. There we go.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Sean?
I can, yeah. Technical issues. Love it.
Yeah. No, actually, it was just the classic hello. Oh wait, my volume is all the way down. Yes, very smart. I am here. Hello.
That's not going to work. Definitely not.
Yeah.
How are you? Are you good now we've sorted out those issues?
Yes, I am very good. I'm so happy to be back on watching some Formula One testing because honestly, like in the UK, it is absolutely like drizzling and rainy outside, so depressing. But it's always better when Formula One is on. So I am very, very excited for today.
I can get on board with that. It's miserable here in Lincoln. It is so horrible and cold and it's not just me being really old and moany. It is just horrible. It's not even like it's snowing. Do you know what I mean? That would make it better. But yeah, bit of F1. Bit of waffle and debate and whatnot, and it'll be good stuff. And chat have already started on you, Aldas, with the whole Aldas thing.
I don't know what they're talking about. I have no clue. No clue.
Yes. Right, have you watched much of this morning's session? I don't know if you had uni.
Yeah, I had uni, so you'll have to catch me up a little bit. I am completely blind. I don't know what happened. I saw Daniel Ricciardo set the fastest time, but as we know, that doesn't really mean anything. But as someone in the comments said, whoever finishes top today is going to be world champion. And if that's Ricciardo, that's fine by me. So, yeah.
I think if it's Ricciardo, that is one hell of a season. That is going to be brilliant. So I'm totally up for that one.
Can't wait for Drive to Survive 2020.
I'm quite happy with Drive to Survive 2019, mate.
Oh yes. As soon as I woke up, I went on Netflix, and the first thing I looked at, of course, is our brand new celebrity, Sean, on Drive to Survive. Congratulations, man. I mean, oh my god, it's just so kind of ridiculous to hear someone from the F1 community, literally, that obviously we've all been watching, and obviously the people that are watching this, we've been watching you for so long, and you're actually in Drive to Survive. So massive congrats, man. Just incredible.
Thanks,
Even
mate.
though it's just even though it's like 3 seconds.
I know it's not a lot, but it's one of those things. It was like somebody said this morning. It's like, oh, you're not very high on the credits. It's like, I don't care. They could have put it on some toilet roll and just mentioned it on Twitter. I wouldn't have cared. It's just to have your voice like it's really cool. So yeah, bit weird, bit surreal. I've got to watch that without getting all like my voice. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So whether it could be 1 second or 1 hour, I wouldn't care. It's kind of cool as well. I don't know if you saw the bit. Will Buxton kind of leads into me quite nicely. So. That
Yeah,
was a
he
good
was
moment.
savage. The thing is, I've been watching it at the moment. I'm up to, and obviously I won't spoil anything. I'm on the Mercedes episode now. Really emotional, actually. I've just
Ooh.
got onto the Nicky Lauda bit, which is, yeah, watching that. Oh man, it hits you in the feels, that's for sure. So I haven't finished that one, but I skipped to the Williams one just to watch your little segment. And Will Buxton, he is savage. The way he like leads into it, it was just like, goodbye. And yeah, but no, I'm looking forward to watching the entire episode. That's for sure.
I'll be getting a takeaway, maybe a beer tonight, and sit and binge that definitely. And I've got all weekend, but I'm going to do it tonight. You've got to do to avoid spoilers on Twitter. But yeah, I'm sure Aldas won't give anything away, guys. Don't worry. But let us know in chat if you've been watching, what episode you're on. I bet you can't wait to get onto that Mercedes episode, the Germany one. That's going to be a favourite one for a lot of people. But what can I tell you from this morning? Watching some spins from yesterday. Ricardo obviously fastest. Charles Leclerc, some curious laps, kind of quickish in the first and final sectors, but purple in the middle, so we thought he was messing about a little bit. Same with Hamilton. It's Sergio Perez, mate, that's got me 16.6 on the C3,
On the
so 2
C3.
compounds harder. And he's only 4/10 off the fastest time. I know, again, it's only testing, but it's still, that racing point, I'm just starting to wonder if there is some pace in there, because they reckon they can challenge Ferrari in the first few races, and there are some, in air quotes, experts who reckon they might even be ahead of Ferrari. I mean, I don't believe what Ferrari is saying, to go back to what I was saying this morning, but if that's the case, that would be a pretty strong start for Racing Point. Podium for Stroll, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of had, okay, every single day, every single review I do, I'm like, you can't believe the times, it's only testing. And yet every single day, Racing Point are in the top four. It's either Sergio or Stroll. And I'm like a broken recorder, but I've kind of had enough. They have real pace in that car. Not only are they doing those incredible laps, and again, on the C3 tire, very comparable, but they're doing just mileage in general. Everything is going at Racing Point's way. Have they even had a reliability problem? I mean, yeah, I'm very excited for both Lance Stroll and Sergio Perez. Sergio came out and said it's the best car he has ever had in preseason testing. And Sergio Perez he's been around, so he knows exactly what he's talking about. And that team I think they've pulled off an absolute masterstroke in copying last year's Mercedes, using their wind tunnel, of course, and Mercedes probably put all of their files in the bin, but forgot to empty the bin, and Racing Point just popped them back out, and that's it. Copy and paste. That's what I imagine happened. But a lot of that team is quietly confident, and they have a very good reason to be.
I'm quite excited for them. And I know, again, it's only testing, but like you say, consistent. We were discussing this morning about possible problems for them. Esteban Ocon just going to put a lap in, nowhere near Ricardo in the end. But we were debating.
I was expecting like a 113 dead or something from
just to get us all excited. Yeah, we don't think they had any problems. There might have been an issue on day one for Stroll. But other than that, I think there's only them and McLaren that have had no major issue of any kind in testing. So if you want to talk about teams that are probably confident, Racing Point and McLaren are well prepared. In fact, actually, I was going to read that stat out right now about the laps completed after this morning. So total laps, no great surprise, Mercedes 824, so they are cruising it against. Ferrari have turned their issues around as well, 739 now, Red Bull on 735, 704 for McLaren, 682 for Alfa Romeo. So again, like I said this morning, they're not got a lot to say on Alfa Romeo, but they're just out there getting on with their laps. 671 for Racing Point, 668 for Renault and for AlphaTauri, 634 for Williams, and 620 for Haas. So yeah, Alfa Romeo just kind of getting on with it and being quiet, and that's absolutely fine. But Haas is still bottom. I think somebody just asked in chat about Haas's performance. I don't know how you rate them, mate. I've not been able to catch anybody's reviews of testing. I'll do some of them over the weekend, but they're kind of, I can't really read. There are a couple of teams like Haas and McLaren and maybe a little bit of Alpha that I just can't read, and I'm not sure whether Haas are quietly confident, or they're struggling, or that lap count is just so low because they've lost so much time because Roman stuck it in the wall and so did K-Mag.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of unknowns at the moment. Certainly, Haas is one of them. I'm struggling to gauge where they are at the moment, but certainly, I think I'm hoping they're not as bad as they were last year at some points of the season. But again, we don't know with everything how it's going on. They have had a few kind of unlucky spots there and there with K-Mag. I remember last Friday going off straight away or having an issue. I think it was a puncture. So they have lost a lot of running. But at the end of the day, when you're at the bottom, there is still something about that where you can only look at yourself and go, okay, we haven't quite done the job well enough. And also Renault as well. I'm not sure about you, but I'm struggling to. Yes, I know Ricardo is obviously in first. I'm still struggling to know where they are. Are they at the top of that midfield? Are they kind of in the middle? Are they struggling? Because they have had some reliability issues, but for the most part, it has been solid running. But yeah, there's a lot of teams that I'm still quite not too sure about, but it just makes it all the more exciting for us going into the brand new season, I think.
Oh, definitely. I can't pick that midfield. I think Racing Point are probably going to be top when we get to Australia if you're talking midfield fight. But I think by the end of the season, McLaren Renault will have reeled them in because I keep saying it, but they're going to develop. Those two teams will develop. Racing Point won't. They've copied the W10 because then they don't have to bother with it all season and can put full focus on 21, which could sit them or see them sitting very pretty come the first race of 2021. So I think Lawrence Stroll has absolutely nailed it. And Martin Brundle said in commentary before I went live that essentially if he was in Lawrence Stroll's position, he'd have done exactly the same thing this year because it just makes sense. And I think they've got a good chance of some early podiums, maybe. Just imagine if Lance Stroll can get a couple of podiums nice and early on and just all that hate.
Exactly. Just rub it. Just rub the salt into the wounds of the Formula One community. Just make that. I think he just thrives on that kind of hate for some reason. I don't know why, but I mean, at the same, I mean, Sergio, we know he's going to do the job. I'm banking on him to get at least one or two podiums because he was, to be honest, in Germany. While he did crash out quite early, he is usually one of those drivers that will just pick it up out of nowhere. Lance Stroll, I think he will have to hit the ground running because there's no doubt that in qualifyings he has been horrible. I mean, in 2019 especially because Sergio Perez, for people that don't know, isn't exactly known to be the best qualifier in the world, but yeah, he absolutely dominated Lance. I can't even find my words. Yeah, he dominated Lance in 2019, which was a really big surprise. And if Lance, even though if you have this amazing car, this Mercedes slash Racing Point, whatever, you still need to qualify well because in races like Australia, it's not easy to overtake, and you still do need to actually have a good quality. So yeah, it will definitely be interesting to see where Lance is, but I think this could be a very big season for Sergio Perez. I'm very excited because I totally agree with you on the sense that what they won't be able to develop that car because if this is Mercedes, they developed that chassis last year to literally as high as it can go, and it was the best car in 2019. How are Racing Point, a team that doesn't even have their budget, are going to find an even higher ceiling for that specific package? So they won't be able to do too much, but at the same time, I don't think the other teams will actually be able to develop as much because I think, especially because of 2021, I see them switching to 2021 quite early. Do you know what I kind of mean? So as much as the other teams will be able to develop more, I see their focus being switched a lot earlier than usual, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I think for some teams it's difficult to switch focus early because Renault don't want to lose out again to McLaren, do they, in that championship fight? So I think it's easier for like a Haas to make that switch early because they don't stand to lose too much. But I don't know. I just don't expect too much development in that midfield at all outside of McLaren and Renault, honestly. I mean, we'll see. We might get a big surprise. It might be such a tight fight, and the prize money might be so worth it that everyone goes, actually, hang on, we'll develop till mid-season. But I wouldn't be surprised to hear Williams have given up around Spain, if I'm being honest. No offense to Williams, of course, my new favourite team. But yes, I'm just currently just saving some photos of the banking from Zandvoort, the GP today have sent. So I'm going to pop them in the stream in a bit because I promised them yesterday because it does look rather cool.
Yeah, saw them yesterday on Twitter. They looked absolutely amazing. I'm so excited for Zandvoort. I think it's just going to be. I have trust in the racing at Zandvoort, even if we know that the track is quite small, it's quite old school, or not small, but I should say narrow. I have trust in just the atmosphere to give us a really good spectacle and something for us to be excited about. Because Max Verstappen, let's be honest, take all of the F1 drivers, the other 19 off the grid. Max Verstappen could probably sell out that entire Grand Prix by himself, just doing about 70 laps for 2 hours just by himself. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very good spectacle, that's for sure. As far as the racing, we're going to have to wait and see. But again, I'm always like really optimistic about everything. So it could be the best race of the season. You never know.
They do I think they pretty much, I don't know about sold out, but they got a lot of people to put their name down on the reserve list for Zandvoort. And when Red Bull do their demo days, if you could call them that, they pretty much sell that place out with Max as well. So Grand Prix weekend, I mean, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get to Zandvoort because I think it'll just sell out every year before I get the opportunity. But that's one of those atmospheres I wouldn't mind. If it's as good as we're all expecting, I wouldn't mind going there and kind of soaking that up for a weekend. So I bet it's epic. I'd have to put all my orange on and be a Max Verstappen fanboy for the weekend because I don't think any of the fans will be allowed.
I guarantee. Let's get our bets in now. How many tweets will McLaren send out? Oh, look at the support we've got here at Zandvoort. How amazing is it? They're gonna absolutely milk that. That's for sure.
It'll be their meme of the year, won't it? It'll be all they do. And Johnsy just saying there, don't forget we've got F2 and F3 at Zandvoort too, so expect madness. That is fun.
Yeah, but Mahavir Raghunathan is not in F2 anymore, so I don't know, No, jokes, love you, really.
Really? I suppose anyone that can turn a 3-point turn into a 27-point turn and still not get the car turned around is quite a special talent.
Yeah, there's no one quite on his caliber level. I mean, I love the fact that he comes back into the pits and his race engineer's like, did you turn the wheel? And he's like, what? I mean, 2019 was a special year.
If I'd said it yesterday to Jordan and Mike, I was like, if you have to tell a driver that they need to turn the wheel to turn the car, that driver should not be in a car. Not just a racing car, in any car. It's as simple as that. So, we know how he got a seat. Cha-ching. It was, we know it was money, but yes. What we're looking at the minute, hang on, we've got Bottas on the straight. Does he use the DAS? I don't know. I don't think they're using it. I'm starting to wonder if it's even going to be used in Australia and whether they've just been up to something. Trying to say, I think I said to Stuart this morning, we could do this, but we're not going to. It feels like that at the moment, but then again, we'll see. I don't want to get too into DAS again. I know you're probably sick of it as well now.
No, what are you on about? It's going to be, I think they might probably use it when they need to with the whole tire cooling issue and things like that. On tracks where they're absolutely on it, they might not even use it. You never know. That's what's really going to be interesting. I think the whole DAS situation, just to kind of draw a line on underneath it, because I'm pretty sure you've probably talked about it in every single stream. I think it's just there more to mess with the other teams, to be honest, and kind of get them off track during testing, because that was the really big talking point, whilst Mercedes were dominating without it. So we'll see what they actually use it for in the season, and if they actually use it. But again, I think it's just one of those things that Mercedes use to kind of get the other teams off their back.
If nothing else, it got us all giddy last Thursday, so that's absolutely fine. If teams want to use some time up to make technical stuff that gets us excited, that's absolutely fine by me. I don't mind stuff like that at all. But we'll see. I mean, marginal gains. Charles Leclerc win the pits. He's on a race run. What's he done so far? Not 98 laps because he was in the car this morning, Sean. He's not done that many yet, but a good few. How many done this morning? 60
I was going to say that Ferrari is certainly quickened up.
Yeah, their champions confirmed if they'd done 99 laps in, less than an hour. That'd be quite impressive. He did 76, so
you think against that?
23 laps in total he's done so far. So he's gone out for, I think that was a pit stop and then straight back out again. So I'll wait for his split times to come up.
I'm really hoping for a really headline time just to kind of get everyone really excited, just one of those guys putting on the C5s and just absolutely blitzing it, giving us a 115 or 116 dead or something. Probably not 115, but yeah, at the end of the day, I think it'll be just a massive letdown. We'll see, but yeah, I can dream.
They were teasing us late on yesterday, so I'm hoping that we might get something today, because kind of no need to hide anything in the last few minutes this afternoon. I know teams don't like to reveal too much too soon, but when there's no time for teams to bounce back from that before Australia, you may as well see what we can do. But I'd like to see every single team put on a set of C5s, low fuel, and do one flying lap. It's not going to happen, but I'd love to see that, because then we might have some idea. Because somebody just asked in chat, I missed your name, so apologies, just asking what we learned from testing this morning. Once again, I think it just this morning just reiterated that you can't read anything into it, because I spent so long talking about how Renault aren't really telling us much, so I'm not sure where they are, and then Ricciardo goes and tops the timesheets, and Perez gets within a few tenths of Hamilton and Leclerc on a tyre that's 2 steps harder, and you think, oh God, what's going on? So anything I thought before this morning has pretty much gone out the window so far, except I do think Mercedes are probably quietly confident they've got the best car, and I'm still not convinced that Ferrari are telling us the truth. So I think we are looking at Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari in some order at the front, and then Racing Point in behind. But I don't think this morning told us much, except that most teams that we've seen are pretty consistent with their pace over long runs. Romain Grosjean essentially went for basically a Sunday afternoon drive. He just got up this morning straight in the car and just kept going. So some good laps in, but that's all it's been really. And I think they're trying to catch up from yesterday morning with all the rain and stop starting and all of that in what was quite dramatic. But if you are late to the stream, the only thing we've really had happen that's remotely dramatic was Alex Albon had a spin and then got out of the gravel and went back to the pits, and that was it really. Nothing major. I've not heard anything from Red Bull. I don't know if you've seen anything, Aldas, about any technical issues and why he had to stay in the pits, but
No, not really. I think it's just been one of those, wait to get out on track and then just get your head down, forget about lap times, which has kind of been Red Bull's motto over the past 2 weeks. I think the one thing that we have seen, maybe today, is that Ferrari, or certainly this week, is that Ferrari perhaps have kind of regained a little bit more pace, because I think the first week they didn't. I don't want to say they had a bad week, but they probably weren't on schedule, and certainly they made up for some of that during the last 3 days.
I thought something happened on track and I kind of bolted my head up. I thought something, it just caught something at the corner of my eye and it was nothing. It's Sergio Perez in the W10 on a lap. C3 again. I don't want to keep banging on about Racing Point, but I'm really intrigued by them. I really am.
I can't wait. I mean, could you imagine Racing Point versus Ferrari or Red Bull and then Mercedes just run away with it? I mean, it's going to make for such a bizarre start to the season, but I genuinely could see it happen because we've seen Ferrari change their concept from last year. And I think we all know which Mercedes was quicker last year. And seriously, could Ferrari be slower than Racing Point? I'm not sure. I don't think so. I seriously doubt it. I think Ferrari in the end still will be above Racing Point. I think we're kind of maybe getting a bit too excited about them, but certainly in the midfield, yeah, I think the other teams are going to have a lot of catching up to do.
I think we're excited, but I think a lot of it's hope more than expect. I don't think we're actually expecting them to turn up and be top three, but we're all kind of like, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For like the first, yeah, exactly. I just think everything has been going their way this testing. I'm trying to find a flaw. I'm trying to find the one thing to say, that's why we can't look into them. That's what we're kind of overlooking. But no, their reliability has been solid. Their laps have been great. And the times that they've been set, I think they're constantly, I need to look back. I think they've always been in every single session top 4. I really need to look at that. But if they have, that's scary, like really scary.
I can, provided I've saved them all, I can have a look for you. We've got the time. It's all good. Day 1, Perez was 3rd.
Mercedes 1, 2, 3.
Full result. Yep. Mercedes 1, 2, 3. Day 2, Perez was 2nd to Raikkonen. That's a grid for Australia. That'll do. That was a full result for week 1. I mean, overall, they were sort of 5th and 6th for the week. But day 3, Stroll was 5th and Perez was 6th, so almost top 4, so certainly top 5. I know
that's a bad day in the office for them.
That's terrible. It's not good enough. They need to sort themselves out. Perez 3rd again at the start of this week, and yesterday Perez was Stroll, was 3rd. So yeah, they've been top 5 and only once outside the top 4 in 2 weeks of testing.
Crazy.
That's
and
pretty
again,
cool.
I know we shouldn't look into the times, but at the same time, you can't ignore them when they're right there in front of you every single day. So yeah, I think we need to move on from Racing Point. I think we can just kind of say that we are very, very excited, but we don't want to overhype them too much because at the end of the day, I still think the top 3 will be the top 3.
Charles Leclerc's race stint. C2 ties his first race stint, so he did a 22.9, a 22.9, a 22.8, a 22.8, a 23.2, then hit some traffic. Then did a 22.7 and 23.1, 22.9 and 23.2, 23.2, 22.8, 22.8. It says yes in brackets here, but I think that's because he matched the time. He matched his time exactly, 22.879, 2 laps running. That's consistent. Followed by a 22.883. So for 3 laps, he was either matching his time or within 4,000ths of it, which is very consistent. 22.7, 22.9, 22.5, 22.9, 22.7, then he made a pit stop. So he's, again, same with Bottas in week 1, same with a lot of them this morning. Charles Leclerc on his race stint, massively consistent, and I'd say pretty quick at a 22.6 for his race stint. So this is what I'm saying about Ferrari, that they've got more than they're telling us. but that's not a surprise for testing because we see it all the time. And I hope they do the opposite to last year. They arrive in Australia and they're actually really good, because I think that will do them the world of good rather than us all jumping on them because they said they were going to be amazing and actually they were crap. Because it gets a
Yeah,
bit
for
boring with that
sure.
with Ferrari, doesn't it?
Yeah, Ferrari is just one of those teams that I am, and I've been basically on Twitter and in my videos, everyone's saying that I'm hypercritical of Ferrari. I just hate on them, and it's not. It's just because I want to see them deliver. I genuinely thought last year could have been their year where maybe they put a little bit of pressure under Mercedes. Maybe not win the title out and out, even though I do think they could have had a better chance, but put more pressure on Mercedes because we do see them crack sometimes. They're not a perfect team, even though they are the best team in Formula One, probably in terms of Mercedes. But this year, I do think that they start a little bit on the back foot, but hopefully they have hidden a little bit of pace and they do turn up to Australia and it maybe give us a surprise because the one thing from 2019 that I take away is just the mistakes from the drivers, the strategy department, and just operationally as well. So they need to kind of gather their team up before they even think about the car. There's so much more going on than just a perhaps below the Mercedes car. There's a lot of things they need to work out before they kind of just blame it on the car, full stop.
Definitely. And I will say, we can't really. I mean, I think we all got sucked into all the talk that they were the team to beat, and I think we got excited for a really good championship fight, and then you finish the Spanish Grand Prix and the constructors is basically wrapped up for Mercedes. And although we got great racing last year, there was no real title, not even between Bottas and Hamilton really was there, let's be honest. I mean, Bottas was much better, but still a long way off in the end. So I think we just, as fans, we get critical of Ferrari because we want them to be up there. And I think Red Bull are going to get more criticism this year, not maybe from us, but from people in sort of the media and that a bit more, because I think for last year, they were always going to be cut some slack because it's their first year with Honda. Whereas this year, it's going to be a lot more kind of like, right, we've seen you good in testing. You were really good last year, much better than we expected. Let's have a title fight. And I think that's going to put some pressure on them. But we just want to see a good fight up front between multiple teams. It's been a while since we've had that really proper fight.
Yeah, definitely. And I said it, I think I made a video about this a few months ago. No more excuses for Red Bull. Everything is in their favor in 2020. They have the driver, they have the engine now because they are the only obviously team running with Honda except from AlphaTauri, but they're in charge. Everything is in their favor. This is where they need to start delivering because the scary thing is that it's been, what is it, 6 years now, 6 titles on the bounce for Mercedes,
Mm.
and not a single team has really, let's be honest, actually put them under that much pressure. They always just seem to crack at one point whilst Mercedes just stay dominant. So this is the scary thing that some team needs to put Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton specifically under pressure because I want to see them crack, but no one has managed to do it yet. And I just keep going back to how crazy does this sound, Sean? Since 2014, not a single team has managed to win a title or constructor except for Mercedes. It's almost ridiculous.
Yeah, because, I mean, 4 years for Red Bull felt like a long time. And they've done
But at
two
least
more,
like
possibly
Fernando
three.
Alonso, but at least some teams managed to take it to the wire in
Yeah.
2010 and 2012. Completely different kind of feel to what Mercedes domination has been like.
Because, I mean, we've had domination in Formula One a lot. And people always go, oh, people weren't moaning we have Ferrari domination. I mean, first of all, they were. We just didn't have the social media, so it wasn't out there for everyone to see. But also, 2000 wasn't dominated by Ferrari. 2001, sort of. 2002 definitely was. 2003 wasn't. We had a great fight. The Ferrari domination was very similar to that Red Bull period in that they were winning the titles, but there were some seasons in there that were absolutely brilliant. I mean, you look at Red Bull 2010 and 2012. Yes, Vettel won those titles, but we had a great championship fight. Ferrari 2003, for example, fantastic championship fight. In fact, Kimi Raikkonen, we were talking about this morning, very nearly nicked that title, very nearly won that title. Alonso was kind of just an emerging talent as well. So that is, they dominated, but not in the same way Mercedes had. And I know that Vettel was good the start of 2017 and 2018, but fell away towards the end. So we've been teased with the title fight. So let's have a proper one this year now. I must say about title fights as well. I'm talking about, as Aldas was saying, between teams. We know 2016 was pretty awesome as a title fight between teammates, but between separate teams, we just need that this season now. We've had the tease. Let's get there. Let's look at Roman Grosjean in the pits. Not out this afternoon. He did all his running this morning, so a bit of Rogro there.
Yeah, yeah.
Bless
I
him.
do. The one thing I did realize watching, and again, I won't say any spoilers, but the one thing I did realize watching the first couple of episodes of Drive to Survive, I do think Roman was really unlucky in 2019. I still think there's a part of me that kind of looks at that Haas lineup. I still think they're good enough. There's just something not quite clicking, but the drivers themselves, I still think are actually really good. Or maybe not really good, but certainly good enough. It's just something wasn't quite right in 2019 that made them have mistakes. And obviously the car was not quite there as well. But yeah, I keep wanting to say Romain Grosjean out of Formula One, Kevin Magnussen, is he there? Is he not? But really, when I look at it, I think both of those drivers are still really good, actually, to be honest.
We were actually discussing it this morning about what has to do for their driver lineup. I think we both agree that they're both still got something to give, but maybe it's time to let others have a go. But we'll discuss that in a bit. I just Argonaut in chat said, at what stage do we stop blaming the other teams and not Mercedes, or start blaming the other teams? Sorry, and not Mercedes for Mercedes dominance. I've been doing that for a long time. I've been saying that a lot to people. You know, we can all attack Mercedes for this domination. They're the easy target. They're dominating. It's all their fault. Blame Ferrari and Red Bull. Build a car that's good enough to challenge Mercedes and give us a fight, because Mercedes aren't going to go, oh, well, you know, we are dominating. Let's make the car rubbish. They're not going to do that. It's up to Ferrari and Red Bull to take the fight to them, definitely.
Oh my days, that's exactly what I've been saying. And that is why every single time I criticize Ferrari, people are like, oh, why are you so harsh on Ferrari? Well, they've had, when was the last time they won a championship? 2007 with Kimi Raikkonen, and then was it 2008 that they won their constructors? Or so, yeah, over 10 years or something like that. Enough is enough. You know, there's only a certain amount of time where you can just say, do you know what, Ferrari, can you just get your something together? I was about to swear there, but don't worry. They need to get it together, because I'm a little bit tired of everyone blaming Mercedes. But the thing is about Mercedes, they turn up to a brand new season where they're probably going to dominate again. Let's be honest, and they still have a brand new innovation. They still push like crazy. So I think enough is enough. Stop crying about Mercedes domination and start pointing fingers at Red Bull and Ferrari. I've said that all the time, but then people kind of call you a hater. But it is what it is. I don't really care, because I'm really stuck in my opinion. I think I'm right, they're wrong, but I'm just that nice of a guy.
Well, that's the thing, is it? You have an opinion and you're like, my opinion's right, and then someone else goes, no, my opinion's right, and then clash. That's it. Sunita just said in chat, that was a long pause, Sean. Yes, apologies. If there are any long pauses, it's just this is day 6 and I'm really struggling to keep the voice going. So I'm sipping a lot of hot water and honey like the old man I am, and lem sip and all that, which is disgusting, by the way.
Don't worry, I'll try to fill up some of the dead air, because it's been a crazy kind of 2 weeks for you, hasn't it?
Well,
Every single day.
If you hear like a bang, it's just me passing out, or the voice is completely gone. So just be like, oh, what was that noise? I'll talk for a bit, and then I'll find my way back up. But yeah,
It's all right, guys. Sean's just passed out, so we'll just let him kind of like get his mind back.
It's been a really good 2 weeks, and chat have been fantastic. You guys, guests on the stream, have been brilliant. A lot of fun. They have flown by as well. Last year it felt really long, but I think they were longer when they were 8 days, not 6. But they've been good fun, definitely good fun. But I can't lie, I'm looking forward to getting back to video content. A bit less pressure when you're doing that than when you're live. But yeah, it's good fun. So that was the long pause, Sunita. Don't worry, I hadn't left or anything. Mark in chat, who is trackside, by the way. Thank you very much for or he's going home now. No. Thank you very much for your contribution. Says, I've got to go to the airport now and fly home, so no more pit lane reporting. Thanks for bringing in my ear for the last couple of days. Enjoyed listening and keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Mark. That's Mark from Trackside in Barcelona. He's my Ted Kravitz. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate that one. So, yeah, that's been handy. I can't lie, we were sort of all going, Lewis Hamilton was really slow earlier on the straight, and commentary going, what's happening here? And then Mark's like, from what I could see, he was doing some DRS testing, and we're like, yeah, exclusive stuff. Thank you, Mark.
Only on the F1 word, everyone. No, that's fantastic. I certainly would love to go next year. I think that'll be, because I think we were talking, a bunch of us, about going next year, so that should be quite exciting. I do just quickly want to say, Nicola Fox in the chat, all hit the like button. Absolutely. Let's get those likes up. It doesn't take too long, and we definitely need to just let's try in for something like 500 likes on this stream. That would be fantastic. So yeah, definitely support the stream. It always helps. But certainly in 2021, I'd love to go to testing or try and make it out somehow, because I think it's going to be one of the most exciting testing or preseason periods that we've ever had, because of the brand new regulations, when we don't know what the cars are going to be like. And certainly there could be a surprise during testing if someone like Racing Point / Aston Martin do finish on top every single time. It could be it might be a massive surprise. So definitely, what do you think next year? Would you make it out if you could?
Oh, I'd love to go to testing, because you can get in the paddock, and it's quite cheap, isn't it, to get in the paddock and that. So I'd be up for that. Get the camera out and do some stuff. I've just got to say, Franz in chat, get out, said, you are complaining about your voice. Think about my ears. Have been listening to you for the last 2 weeks. It's incredibly rude. Get out, Franz. I'm joking.
Franz, you're my new favourite person. That's
and Ava... Ava Muir, or I'm so sorry, or Avam Muir.
Butchered that one.
Yeah. So, do YouTubers get money from likes? I bloody wish. No, we do not. It's just it gives us a boost and it does help the channel out in the algorithm. But yeah, let's see if we can make this the most liked stream of the 6 days. So,
Thank you, Sean. Exactly. Let's be honest, guys. You leave the best till last, right? Put you on
I
the
knew you were
spot.
going to say that. I really knew you were going to say yes. Definitely. We had
Yeah,
good fun
I think
last
we had.
Friday, so.
Yeah, it was such, and I think it's going to get tasty once again because certainly today it doesn't look. I'm hoping for some headline times. I'm hoping for some excitement, but I do think it's going to be yet more really just long runs because again, 2 less days of testing compared to last year. I don't think the teams really care about the headlines. They only care about the data that they can gather and preparing for the new season.
Bailey in chat just says, I mean, getting likes increases your chance of getting money. On videos, yeah. On live streams, based on my analytics, not so much. That doesn't mean that's. I mean, I think maybe like your Jimmy Broadbents who get a damn sight more viewers than I do on streams. Maybe it does help them or they stream more. But for me, not so much on live streams. They're not good. I said this morning. If your channel is predominantly videos, live streams don't really do it any favors. Because it does kick you in the analytics, as I like to say. It brings everything down. So, yeah. It's not going to stop me doing this, though.
No, I think people kind of also it's not really about the money. It's it's not why it's about, especially for Sean, it's not why he does this. We just love Formula One, and that is why he's so dedicated to these streams. We love watching testing. We don't care if people kind of think it's a little bit sad for us to sit hours on hours talking about cars going around circles because that is exactly what we love. So yeah, I don't think any of us do it for the money. We just do it because we love the sport so much. And as I think we said the same thing last Friday. As much as people kind of say, "Oh, Formula One's dead. I never want to watch it. It's so boring." I'm never going to be one of those people. I'm every single time there's a race and I see the lights out, I've got like the butterflies in my stomach. Because you just never know what's going to happen, and it's the same in testing and kind of the build up to the season as well. We just love this sport so much. So yeah, we don't really care what some people say if they don't really like it or think it's boring.
Even I think it's sad. I'm sat here all day doing seven hours of testing. But last one on the YouTube stuff, and then I'll do some more track stuff from Wackest Impulsive. Says, will you guys be doing podcasts after races this season? Yes, they won't be live. Leave it at that. That is the bit I'm going to get so much crap for from people now. But there will be post-race content, but it won't be live. Or it won't be to start with. If you've been following this channel for more than 5 minutes, you know I change my mind every other day. So it could have all changed by Australia again anyway. But what do you think? This is from Ben Farrell. I saw this earlier and stopped the chat. What do you think about Mercedes wanting to protest Ferrari over sandbagging when Mercedes have been doing it for years? Is that a genuine rumour? Because Mercedes can't protest Ferrari for going slowly.
I saw that comment, and that is it's so funny that you brought this up because I saw that comment and literally went, huh? Like,
That
wait,
can't be
what?
real, surely.
No, they can't do anything about it because at the end of the day, if the teams want to sandbag, use lower engine modes, or put more fuel in, they can. There's nothing wrong with that. And at the end of the day, the teams can say in the media whatever they want, and we know that they always do. I mean, Toto Wolff just said yesterday or something. I saw maybe on Planet F1 that Ferrari can find way more pace and maybe have like a half a second in their car left. Like, okay, Toto, I think I know. I think I've heard this story before.
I already getting people upset that I said that you're still getting race reactions. They just won't be live. Don't worry, you're still getting them. They will still be up on a Sunday. They just won't be live. They're not going anywhere.
I'm disappointed, Sean. I love your race reaction. It was so great, and Jonty as well, and Dan. I just love listening to it. So as a fan of the channel, I'm disappointed in you. I'm disappointed.
Cool. That's Sean's attitude this year. Oh, I am ever so sorry. But no, I am, I'll be honest, I am exploring other avenues because streaming on this channel is not doing it any good. So I might make another YouTube channel just for live streaming. I might go and use the Twitch channel just for live streaming. So there'll be stuff there. But on this channel, it will be a post-race recorded as live race reaction, but not live. But if I do decide to get going on Twitch, I'll maybe do it over there because Twitch is very much... YouTube have moved to live streaming and they've not optimised it, and that is ridiculous. But then I shouldn't be surprised.
I do hate to bring this up quite this early, but what happened to the Formula E word?
Oh, why'd you do this to me, man?
There you go, mate. This is what
Oh
you
no.
get when you get me. It's the hard-hitting questions. I don't take it easy. This is like a boxing match, I feel like this stream, honestly, with me and Sean. I don't take it easy on you. What happened to the FE word? Go.
As me and Stuart discussed yesterday morning, the Formula E word, it left me, mate. It left me for Stuart's bingo. His bingo and the FE word both left together. They've been having an affair, and we haven't seen them since. So, as soon as we find out where they are, we'll sort something out for you.
Okay, mate. You wriggled. Have you been a politician in like a previous life? Because you wriggled your way out of that one very, very well. No, I totally get what you mean. Actually, it's the same. I had this series idea. It was like Formula One Ultimate Series where I created like these cards, like the FIFA ones, and I was so motivated to do it at the start of the summer break last season, and then by the end of it, I was like, I've got uni coming up, literally like my final year starting. I've already got so much content planned over the race weekend, and I've got the brand new, and I've got the season returning, I should say, and as like Formula One content creators, because I think that's what we're called. You really do sometimes just lose motivation, and you kind of just hate yourself because some people do want to see it, but yeah, if you lose motivation, then that's kind of how it goes, really.
I said I wasn't going to bang on about it, and here we go. But I was just something that I think a lot of people in chat will get this, because I think people in live streams tend to be here for the random entertainment and waffling that we do. But it's quite. I was talking to the Patreon Discord the other week about this. As creators, you want to make content that people want, but you also have to make content you enjoy. And if you're not enjoying something, but you know people want it, you force yourself to do it, and it ends up not being your best work. Some of my stuff last year was terrible. I admit that. And people go, oh no, I thought it was really good, but it just isn't me. It was never me. So I want to make content I enjoy, but also stuff that others are going to enjoy, not just me being, well, an idiot. I do want to make content I enjoy, but I have to do that predominantly. I don't mind making stuff that people enjoy and I don't necessarily enjoy, but if I'm doing that, like 22 race weekends, let's say, and you're doing the same routine every weekend, it gets boring for me. It's going to get boring for you. So I'm definitely going to be mixing it up this season, have a bit more fun. So yes, track action. I don't want to get into a full channel update because, I'm definitely trying to explain it better than I did post France last year. Wow. That did not go well. Yeah, a couple of people just suggesting having a second F1 word channel and just calling it F1 word live. I think that was Forever saying that one. So yeah, it's an option. Maybe Twitch as well, but we'll see. How many laps? We did the laps earlier. I'll do some laps a bit later on, Marco. We'll go through the totals again. They keep getting updated by Lights Out Blog. Definitely give Nikki a follow. What's wrong with Red Bull? Says Varun. We don't. Well, nothing really. I mean, Verstappen's been out and he's done some laps. Not many, only 8 so far. Albon this morning had a spin and then got back to the garage and was never sent back out again. They did put the screens up, so they must have taken the floor off in order to do that. So something was going on there, but nothing serious from what I understand. I think if there was anything major, Max wouldn't be out now. So I don't think there's anything to worry about. I suspect some of these teams as well haven't done the mileage and people are getting concerned, but bear in mind that, for example, Mercedes have done like 900 laps, so they maybe don't need to. Robin in chat, Red Bull is just lazy. That is it.
That's exactly the best analysis I've seen so far. I think the problem with this is the annoying thing about modern Formula One is that when you compare everyone to Mercedes, it's kind of like, everyone looks bad, don't they? Even someone who is second or third, they all look bad compared to Mercedes because they're just such a well-oiled machine. I think Red Bull overall, maybe they're having a bit of an off day, obviously with Albon going off and losing a bit of time, but overall, I still think that Red Bull, I think they might be up. I think it might be up there in 2020. I really do. I think from what we've seen in testing so far, certainly in terms of the long runs and the fact that they've been using the hard compound tires, they have a lot of pace that they can still unleash. So I wouldn't be worried about Red Bull just yet, but they're just having an off day, I think. But overall, yeah, I want to see Red Bull deliver in 2020.
I've missed your names. Apologies. It did scroll up on chat. Just asking for an update on this morning. Just joining the stream. They've been revising. I think Willis, maybe, I seem to recall, revising today. So missed what went on this morning. A lot of laps is what went on this morning, and not a lot of incident, really. You can see there in that picture, Charles Leclerc plays some football. Ricardo, 1:16.2, 65 laps this morning. Ocon's in for him this afternoon, so that is all he's going to do. That's his testing over. Charles Leclerc, he's in all day. He was pumping the laps in as well. He's done a really good, consistent race run. this afternoon too. 16.3.118 in terms of laps. Lewis Hamilton, he's done for the winter testing as well. We'll not see him till Australia 116.4, sorry. 90 laps and nearly 100 for the morning, so pretty impressive. Perez 116.6 in that racing point or tracing point, as Marcus has pointed out on the super chat. Thank you very much for your contribution, mate. We need to call them tracing points. 77 laps. Carlos Sainz, a 116.8, 99 laps. He's going to go through 100 any minute now. George Russell 116.8, 74 laps. Daniel Kvyat 116.9, 111. Grosjean 117.0, just loads of laps this morning, 86 in total. Valtteri Bottas 117.4, 17 laps, but he's only just gone out this afternoon, so don't worry about him there. Kimi Raikkonen 97 laps, he's going to go through the 100 as well. Ocon 25, he's in for the afternoon. Good start to the afternoon for him as well, 117.7. He was a monster yesterday afternoon with his lappage. Alexander Albon 117.8, 59 laps. Max Verstappen 118.2, 8 laps, and there is one more driver, but I'm not scrolling the page up for one driver. Kevin Magnussen, 14th place, 118.4, 15 laps so far. So really just Albon's spin that happened this morning. It was all about getting those laps in, but we did see some C5 runs. That's why Ricciardo's top of this one, but they're not. You know, that C5 run from Leclerc, 16.3, it's nowhere near Bottas's. Yeah, oh yeah, because I was just going to say last week Bottas on the C5 did a 15.7, Hamilton did a 16.4 on the same tyre, so ignore that. It's what I'm kind of saying.
Insert Nico Rosberg, is Lewis Hamilton's career over meme right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, Nico. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do in 2020 as well. No doubt more over-the-top, really clickbaity videos that, even though when I look at them, I'm like, oh, no, Nico, I just can't stop watching because he is such a great character. And I really like, actually, Nico Rosberg in 2019. I feel like a lot of people underrated him up against Lewis Hamilton. But, yeah, as far as testing, getting back onto Formula One, yeah, it's really difficult to read these times, isn't it? And Renault still, I don't know how to judge them. I mean, what about you, Sean? And I know Ricciardo's first, and they have done some good laps, but they've also shown a few little weaknesses there and there. They admitted yesterday that they were just doing a few little different things and testing some different procedures. So perhaps that's why they had a little bit of a rough day, despite the really great running that Ocon had. But Renault are still a very difficult team to judge. I don't know about you, what you think of that.
I think I said this morning, I just, these sessions merge into each other. If I said this 10 minutes ago, I apologise, but I'm sure it was this morning, but I can't read Renault. I'm kind of, what was it I said this morning? I'm not pessimistic, but I'm not optimistic or something like that. I'm right in the middle with Renault. And until Ricciardo put that lap in, I wasn't overly impressed with their pace, but I was impressed with their consistency and their mileage, which is obviously, thinking about it with hindsight, actually, that's the most important thing in testing. Albon's car has still got the nose off it. So that is what's going on with Albon. But the screens are down, so we might be Verstappen now, won't it? Same car, obviously. But yeah, I'm not really sure. And I'd be surprised if they're not top 5 come the end of the season. But I just can't read them. Them and McLaren are tough. I think they're being really coy with what they've got, both those teams.
I still think we have yet to see McLaren's true pace. I saw someone, I didn't catch your name in the chat below, but they were asking about McLaren. Do we think that they're sandbagging or maybe they're struggling a little bit? I think McLaren are doing fine. I think they're going to come out with another really good car, and I think their drivers are going to develop even more. So I don't think they have too much to worry about. I still feel like, and I hate to mention them again, I feel like Racing Point have just thrown a massive spanner into the 2020 midfield fight with this whole 2019 Mercedes. And that's why the picture looks really blurry, because if we take Racing Point out of the equation, it still looks like it's perhaps Renault and McLaren, Ricciardo going top and then Carlos Sainz in 5th place or roundabout there. So I feel like this whole Racing Point drama is just kind of, like I said, just throwing a spanner into the works. But for the most part, I do think that at the moment, the 3 big teams in the midfield look to be McLaren, Renault and Racing Point at the moment. But again, because with testing, I don't quite want to say who's where, but I do think that Racing Point maybe have the advantage over the other 2 teams at the moment.
We'll do super chat shortly. Don't worry, chat. I've seen them all. I've got a few. But would you like some speed trap data? Ooh, I know. It's exciting.
Let's go for it.
I finally found some. So from this morning, Kimi Raikkonen topped the speed trap 334.5 kilometers an hour. Perez 317.8. Kvyat 315.4. Ricciardo 314, Sainz 313, Grosjean 312, 311 for Albon, 310.5, sorry, 311 for Russell, and then you've got Leclerc 310.1 and Hamilton 309.3. Possibly engine modes turned down. I'd be very surprised if the works Ferrari, if you like, is 24 kilometers an hour slower on a straight than Alfa Romeo. But also don't forget that there's a lot more drag on the Ferraris and the Mercs than there are on other cars. So more drag, less drag. What did I say?
More drag.
More drag, that'll do. It's probably wrong, but it'll do. Yeah, so I wouldn't read. That's another indication there that Mercedes and Ferrari are not showing us everything they've got, and also would explain why neither team were particularly stunning in the first or final sectors. So they're being cheeky. They're being cheeky.
It's all the proof that you need that clearly they've got their engines not turned up all the way. Although at the same time, Jolyon Palmer did say that as much as teams like Ferrari and Mercedes do sandbag to an extent, you do still need to be going fast to actually learn something from your car. You can't just turn everything down and pretend that you're doing really bad. You do need to push the car to actually realize its true potential and where you are when you actually are with its development. But at the same time, the speed trap figures, they tell us that clearly Ferrari and Mercedes and even Red Bull, did you say they were like fourth from the bottom? Or was that where Albon was?
I forgot. It's amazing. My brain's forgotten already. Yeah, he was 7th out of 10. So yeah.
So the top three teams are almost right at the bottom of the table. No, they are at the bottom of the table. So it's just more evidence that shows you how much sandbagging the teams really do, especially in terms of their power unit.
I just had a quick look there. Sorry, just to double check that one. Yeah, because AlphaTauri are up in about 4th place. So there is some power in at Honda, definitely. So they're just up to no good. You can't trust them. You can't trust these flipping teams. Thank you very much to Akan again for your contribution. You've been brilliant this week with all of your donations, so thank you so much. I answered this one yesterday with Jordan and... Oh, good
Mike.
Lord, I've forgotten names. Mike, yes, there we go. Oh, dear. So I'm going to put this one to you quickly, mate, because we've already answered it. But 2020, Seb Vettel or Seb Mental?
Seb, well, I'm gonna go Seb Mental. I'm gonna go Seb Mental. I think I know what you mean by that. Oh, Sebastian Vettel. I got accused of hating on Seb because I said he was spinning, even though Max Verstappen spun loads of times, and I was giving Seb a hard time. But I just feel like Seb has kind of had his time as a championship contender. He's still a great driver, but I think that with Charles Leclerc improving even more in 2020, I think Seb's going to kind of go off the boil a little bit, and it's going to be Seb Mental for 2020.
I'll go Seb Mental, but Seb Mental that he's going to be mentally quicker than he was last year. just to hedge the bets, at least we've covered both areas there.
Oh my God. Look at in the comments, Enipla, I don't know how to, I think I pronounced that. Spinasti and Vettel. Oh my God.
The thing is, like, people give Seb stick and they don't give Max stick for like the same thing, but Max isn't making those mistakes in races like Seb was. So I get why people get on his back, but he does get a lot of stick, does old Seb. Bless him.
Yeah, but I love Seb. I'm one of his biggest fans, and I think I said this to you actually. When I started watching Formula One, everyone hated Sebastian Vettel at Red Bull. They were booing him on podiums. Fernando Alonso just hated him in the media, like he was just openly saying it, and so many people just absolutely despised him, the fact that he was in those Red Bulls, and I really liked the guy. However, after 2017, bottling it there, in 2018, bottling it there, in 2019, also bottling it against his teammate, you kind of have to look at him and say, okay, seriously, what is actually going on, and is he up there in the caliber of drivers that's actually going to be capable of winning championships? And that's kind of the hard conversation that you have to have.
He's got loads of questions in his super chat, so I'm going to start making my way through them. Will Danny Rick upgrade his team in 2021? He said last week or early this week that the ideal scenario is that he stays at Renault. So I don't think, number one, I don't think doors are going to open because I think Seb's staying at Ferrari now from what he was saying the other day. So he may have no choice but to stay at Renault. So I think that's his preferred option. So I don't think he'll be leaving Renault. He just needs to hope that they upgrade the car to give him a competitive car. Will Ferrari win in Melbourne? I don't believe what they're telling us, but I don't think they're going to win. But they'll be closer. It seems to be a
Mercedes. Yeah, it seems to be a Mercedes track. It's a really good track for them. Although at the same time, Seb always kind of goes well around there. So yeah, you never know. But I think this Mercedes at the moment is looking quite mighty. So I'm going to go Mercedes probably in Australia.
Will Bottas be at Mercedes in 2021? Yes, is my prediction early.
I think yes, but I've made it no secret that I want to see George Russell have another good season and be in that Merc for 2021 up against Lewis Hamilton.
I just think keeping that, I said this morning, keeping that consistency and that experience and keeping a lineup works is perfect for 2021. It's exactly what the teams need. So I think they'll stick with him absolutely. Where will Russell be in 2021? I think as a result, he'll stay at Williams, but I could see him in that Mercedes in 22 once the regulations have settled down a little bit. I can see that happening. One more year at Williams. I don't think it'll hurt him. I know Williams are down the back and people think he should be further up the grid. That's fine, but he's cutting his teeth in a lower team, learning his trade, whatever cliche you want, and all that is going to be great preparation. Get him in 2022. Put him alongside Lewis Hamilton. Let him learn from at least 6-time world champion at that stage. Could be 7, could be heading towards 8. Who knows? Get him to learn from him, and then that's perfect for George Russell to then take over and bring somebody else in to partner him. And where else do you see Seb except Ferrari? I've always said this. Some people talk about him going back to Red Bull, but I've always said it is stay at Ferrari or retire for Seb. I don't see him leaving Ferrari, because whether you want to poke fun at Ferrari or not, in chat, that's absolutely fine. I know people are going to criticise them, but if you've been at Ferrari and you're Sebastian Vettel, you're sort of not emulating Michael Schumacher in terms of success, but emulating him in the sense that you've got in that car one of your heroes. Anything is going to be a step down for him from there. So I think family man now as well. If he leaves Ferrari, he leaves Formula One.
Yeah, I think for him it's either winning in a Ferrari or nothing. The only team I could maybe see him in terms of the people that are there, the environment, I might be able to see him in a McLaren for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe, but that's that's kind of just me dreaming for some reason. But for the most part, Seb is one of those guys where if he doesn't win in a Ferrari, I do think, I do think he's going to be gone, which is a massive shame because again, although he hasn't quite delivered on a title challenge, the guy's a 4-time world champion. He's a legend. He is one of the quickest guys in Formula One ever. Massively underrated, by the way. It's just, yeah, for him, it's either Ferrari or nothing, I think.
Simon FB says, what do you guys think about Red Bull? Do you guys think they're good on performance or not really? I think from what the experts are saying is second behind Mercedes, and from what we've seen in testing so far, from whatever you want to read into it, I would agree they are about second fastest. They reckon on their data they've worked out they're 2/10 behind Mercedes. This is what they were saying yesterday. 2/10 behind Mercedes, and they've got updates for Melbourne, which would be a 3/10 swing, so might put them just ahead of Merc. Now that's a team that are starting to get cocky, like Red Bull, probably Helmut Marko starting with that one. But I think second. I think second for Red Bull this year. Or maybe not at the end of the season, but when we get to Australia, second quickest. I still think we're going to be closer than Ferrari. Again, are making out. But I think, and I've got to say as well, Max Verstappen for me, if Red Bull are only 2/10 off Mercedes pace, Max could be that difference. He's got to be worth a couple of tenths in that car.
He can make it up, yeah. But the big problem for him is that whilst he can make up that 2/10 deficit, he's got Lewis Hamilton in the other car that could probably extract even more tenths out of that Mercedes. But it's going to be a really great kind of, again, a boxing match between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. I do still think that in terms of the pecking order in Formula One, they're still above everyone else because of just how consistent they are and just how fast they are as well. But certainly, I mean, I predicted in my championship predictions for Lewis Hamilton to win the 2020 title, but Max to be in second and beat Valtteri Bottas. So I have hopes. I have a hope for Max because honestly, I think he's in the perfect position. He is the king of that team. The thing that he really needs to hope is number one for that car to be good because I definitely think there's been sandbagging by Red Bull, certainly on the tyre side, because every single time I've seen them, they're on the C3, they're on the C2, they're maybe in that mid portion of the table, not really doing explosive laps, but they're doing a lot of mileage. So there's still a lot more to come from them. And the other thing that Max needs to hope for is a good teammate as well. Red Bull need to kind of hope that Albon is going to be good enough and stop playing musical chairs with their second driver.
That would help in the constructors, wouldn't it, if they actually had a consistent second driver rather than messing about with everybody. But I think if you're asking me what I want to happen this year, Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull in whatever order, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. And I want to see Williams locking out that front row, battling Haas for the title with McLaren, Renault, Racing Point and all that. Let's get rid of the top 3 teams for a season. Let's have that midfield fight for the title. That's what I want. Nothing against those 3 teams, but I think that'd be epic. It's going to be impossible to call in that midfield. So imagine that for a title fight. Oh, that'd be epic.
The only thing that would worry me about that is that the 2019 Mercedes that has a pink livery on might be running away with that.
Yeah,
don't say that too quick.
They can take Racing Point with them then. No Racing Point. There you go.
Yeah,
Although then Haas
take
might do
Racing
it.
Point away, exactly. Then we'd have a really great, 10-car grid? But, yeah, as far as to me, like, the only thing I want is a title decider. I could not give a backside of anything. I don't give a crap who wins the title. I just want a title decider. That feeling of going down to the wire between two different drivers from two different teams. We haven't had that since 2012, I think, which is a really long, long time ago. Certainly, it feels like it because of the amount of domination that Mercedes have had. But I just want a title decider between two different teams. That would be, or three different teams. That I think would be amazing.
Um, Gaming and Tech Geek said Racing Point thing is hype. I nearly said this morning, actually, how hilarious would it be if it turns out they've done what Prost did a few decades back, where they went out and sent a really underweight illegal car out, set the timing screens alight, pulled in a load of sponsors to make some money, and then actually arrived with their actual car and it was cack. Racing Point
But
have
this
done
is
exactly the same thing.
But this is the thing. I've been trying to find a chink in their arm. I've been trying to find a way to size them, but again, they're doing good laps. They're like really quick laps. They're doing long mileage as well. So, well, I sure hope so because at the moment, I think it's kind of a little bit worrying for the rest of the midfield.
I can't wait for this season. I really can't. It's
It's going to
insane.
be so good. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. And the thing is, the one thing that also does excite me is that even if Lewis Hamilton does dominate, which I kind of hope he doesn't, I mean, the history that could be made in 2020 is kind of amazing from my point of view because I wasn't there when Schumacher broke all those records. And certainly when I started watching Formula One, I thought honestly that it would take like decades for people to break Schumacher's records. And it's happened, 15 years later or something like that. So, yeah, it's certainly from that point of view, I think we've also got quite a bit to look out for that as well.
Charles Leclerc's second stint on the C2s. Get ready for numbers. 21-6, 21-7, 21-6, 7-2, 6-9, 7-7-7. Wow. 21-8, 6-2, 22-3-2-8, and 22-3-2-8 again. 22-2, 2-6, 3-7-9, 8, and 22-5. That was 21-3, sorry, 21-7, 21-9, 21-8, and 22-5. So quick, consistent. Ferrari are BSing us, peeps. Peeps. I
Yeah.
went with peeps. Why not, eh?
Oh, I do like I do like when Sean just throws in like a really young person's term or word. It's just so great.
I can't help it. I've got to try and. I
Yeah,
put
no.
something on my personal Facebook today because I was letting my family know about Drive to Survive, and I just put like Netflix, YouTube, completed it, mate. That's like, wow, I'm 34, and I went and did that. I was like, quick, delete. Is that
But yeah,
Kellen or Cohen in chat? What do you guys think about the DAS system? Do you think it's illegal and really making the sport bad, or do you like it and think it spices the sport up? I think it's great to have some innovation, 100% on that one. It's not illegal according to the regulations, and I think if it was, Mercedes wouldn't be wasting their time with it. And I don't think it's bad for the sport because A, it's innovation, but also I don't think it's going to be the big deal that the media are making it out to be. If we're talking a few thousandths here and there, it's not a big deal. So it is legal. It is illegal for 2021 and would have been anyway because the rules are worded as such that it would have outlawed it. But I just don't think it's going to be a title deciding factor. I kind of, in some ways, I'd like it to be because
it would be definitely, yeah, it would be interesting, but I think people are blowing it way out of proportion. Yeah.
But I love innovation, so I'd love this clever innovation to be something that helped decide the title. But at the same time, I just don't think it will because I love that kind of thing, and I hate that things get banned so quickly. But just to clarify on that again, reiterate the point, this would have been banned for next year regardless because of the way the rules have now been worded for next year. So.
Yeah, the way the information kind of came out, a lot of people thought that Mercedes revealed it on the Thursday, and then it was because there was an article straight away that said it would be banned for 2021. This was banned way back in November, maybe even earlier, when they actually revealed the 2021 regulations. So this is obviously legal because Mercedes have talked to the FIA the entire time. They knew that what they were doing, but they also knew in the back of their minds that it would be banned for 2021. So yeah, it's just kind of the way the information was revealed to everyone that everyone thought, hang on a minute, they've just banned it straight away. This has been banned for the next generation for a very long time.
Chris Davis in chat says, I think Mark Priestley made the best point about the DAS. I tell you what, actually, Mark Priestley and Stuart Chamber made the best two explainer videos for DAS.
They're
100%.
like my they're like my
Yeah.
go-to. Every single time there's something that I don't know that's technical. And I want to try to learn a bit more of the technical side of Formula One, but I always go to Stewart and Mark Priestley as well. Yeah, I love their videos.
If somebody can make me understand something technical, it's a good video. It's as simple
Yeah.
as that, really. I'm not technically minded. I don't even try, really.
And someone did say, Chris Davis, he did just say that the DAS is not a performance enhancement. And actually, that is totally true. It's not actually to do with the performance, it's more to do with the tire cooling. So it doesn't inherently actually give you more pace. It just probably allows you to go on tires a little bit longer, do longer stints, and just kind of keep the temps under control.
But yeah, and places like Monaco, it's pretty useless. And you might even argue
Exactly.
Singapore in some ways, even though it's hot there, because there's not long straights. But somewhere like, if we were going to China, for example, that's super long straight, and maybe Bahrain as well, it will be quite handy there for tyre wear. But it's not. This is what I mean. It's not going to be the be all and end all this season, because it's not going to
Somewhere
be
like
useful at
Austria.
every track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember, I think, yeah, because Austria is one of those tracks where tires can get overheated quite a bit, and just
Hmm.
cooling in general can sometimes be a bit of an issue there. So, yeah, once again, just to kind of draw the line on the sand, I think it's been blown totally out of proportion. And yet again, I feel like Mercedes have kind of just, I feel like they've kind of just hoodwinked the entire media and Formula One fans now that we're talking about it so much, instead of focusing on the fact that they still have improved their car even more, and their actual package is still just probably the best of the field.
Be good, wouldn't it, if they get to Australia and everyone goes, "Are you using DAS?" and they go, "What's that?"
Nope.
Like it never happened. What are you on
What are you on
about,
about?
DAS?
Yeah, it'll probably end up being like that. Let's be honest, because Mercedes. Do we actually expect anything other than a Mercedes to be a world champion? How do you think Sean Leclerc and Ferrari and Red Bull will do against Merc?
I think Red Bull are going to get a good start. I really do, as you will see in Chainbear's prediction video on Saturday, I think he said.
Ooh,
I think Red
little
Bull are going
sneak
to get a good
preview.
start, but I still think Mercedes is going to come out on top in the championship. Um, I think Ferrari are going to be in the fight. I think Leclerc will. I don't. Again, for the millionth time today, I don't believe a word they're telling us. Leclerc will get a shot at this, and I think if Seb can sort of get back to the Seb we know, if it's still in there, then maybe he can put a challenge up too. But I certainly think Leclerc's got a shot if the car is up to scratch. But I think Max will start well, but over the course of a season with his experience, we know how good Mercedes are, obviously apart from Germany last year. I think it's still Lewis Hamilton for the title, but closer than last year,
I
hopefully.
hope so. Yeah. But it just goes back to, I still think, and I clearly am the only person that thinks this. I still feel like last year Ferrari just threw it all away so many times through driver errors, through team errors. I mean, we all know how legendary the Ferrari strategy team is, and it was constantly on display in 2019.
I mean, you could argue, reliable car, Leclerc could and should have won in Bahrain.
Vettel shouldn't have spun, and he would have won because he was
Yeah,
overtaking Hamilton for the race lead. If Leclerc would have dropped back like he did.
obviously the penalty in Canada. I'm not getting back into that debate. Let's gloss over that and move on. Austria,
And
Leclerc
don't
maybe
forget
defends
Baku.
differently. That could have been a win. Baku is crashing qualifying when he was looking like he could be in with a good shot at pole position, which could have set him up nicely for the race. And they had their chances.
That's what I'm
Germany,
saying. Yes, that's what I'm trying. That's the one thing that I keep saying about 2019, and I'm adamant. If they were as solid of a team as Mercedes, and it's something that Merc don't get as much credit as they should. I'm not talking about even the team, or even, no, I'm sorry, I am talking about the team. I'm not talking about the car. I'm talking about the operational side in terms of everyone doing exactly what they need to do and getting the maximum out of the car. And it's just something that Ferrari were not able to. We've just talked about just 4 or 5 races that Ferrari could have had in 2019. And could you imagine how much different the picture of the championship could have looked if Ferrari won in Bahrain, won in Baku, won in Austria, won in Canada? That's four races right there at the start of
yeah.
the season.
I think Verstappen would have got Leclerc in Austria anyway, but I still think the move itself, Leclerc could have. I don't know. Again, I'm not a racing driver. I'm an armchair fan or whatever, but I still think Leclerc could have defended that inside line a little bit better than he did. He left the
I was,
door wide open.
yeah, for sure. And you saw that, and what happened in the next race. Charles Leclerc
Yeah.
learned his lesson. He was a lot more harder in Silverstone and showed Max that he's not messing about. He's here to play.
That was a great fight, and I watched the highlights back the other day. Was it Charles Leclerc around the outside of Albon? No, Gasly. Sorry, what a move that was. That was
Yeah,
yeah,
great.
wow.
Someone in the comments, Progetto Chinese, Leclerc had the most poles. Yeah, my pronunciation is great today. Leclerc had the most poles, but Mercedes had the wins, and that is exactly what happened. Just throwing it away from Ferrari on the Sunday, constantly, both from the drivers and from the team themselves.
As I say, Verstappen out on track. A couple of people pointing that out in chat. So whatever was going on, that is sorted. So that is good news. Well, good news if you're a Red Bull fan. If you're not a Red Bull fan, then it's terrible news. It's all awful. But yeah, they are. Yeah. Out on track. Ocon currently P11. He's on an outlap. Bottas on an outlap. Sainz is still running on a nice long run. Perez as well. Leclerc just pumping the laps in. What are we at now? 137 for Leclerc, 125 for Fiat, 110 for Raikkonen. So we are getting somewhere now with the I think Grosjean probably going to get. Oh, he's not, is he? Because he's not in this afternoon. Haas will go over 100. Definitely. Russell's got a shot. I think we'll see quite a few over the 100 today. And then hopefully, as somebody said in chat about 10 minutes ago, hopefully then they'll decide, you know what, we've done the laps we need. Let's go for some hot laps. There's still some clouds out there, by the way, if it fancies rain. If it wants to take the rain from Lincoln, they're more than welcome. So there you go. But yeah, I'm up for this afternoon. I'm hoping last 20 minutes, let's go for it. Definitely.
Yeah, C5 tire. Let's just low fuel. Let's just go for it. Let's be the guys that sets that headline time. I'm definitely fingers crossed.
Fiat stint. Here come the numbers again. C3 tyre, quite a long stint again. 21.8, 9, 8, 8, and then a 22.6, a 22.1, 4, 7, 6, 6, 7, a 23.2, 23.0, 22.8, 24.0, 23.0, 22.8, 23.5, 24.4, and 23.8. That's from F1 Debrief over on Twitter. Please do go give them a follow. I keep stealing their stuff on stream, which is terrible, but I always give them a shout out. Make sure you go follow them at F1 Debrief. Great stuff on there. That's pretty cool. I won't have the patience to do that.
Yeah, it's incredible what he does, that for sure. I'm looking at it now, actually. Yeah, he does really good things. So I always use his, whenever I do my race reviews, I always use his numbers to say whether a team has been doing good or bad, or they've been consistent on their laps or not. But I always do try again, like you said, just give them a shout out, because there's so many people just in the community in general that do so much good stuff, but perhaps don't have that massive platform. But yeah, I mean, once again, I feel like again, AlphaTauri are one of those teams where I'm not quite sure how to judge them again. I feel like they're doing okay, but they're always one of those teams that even when they were Toro Rosso, which of course last year, I feel like I always undervalued them, but they always used to surprise me in the season, if that kind of makes sense. I always used to just kind of disregard them as they're going to be at the back, but then we saw like in 2019 them going out and getting 2 podiums with 2 different drivers.
Franz in chat, could you stop the stream and F1 testing? My earbuds are empty, so I can't listen. Well, maybe if your earbuds are empty, I won't be hurting your ears anymore. I don't hold grudges. Get out. I'm not having it. No. No. If it was just you here, I would, of course, but no, not for. Yeah. Go charge them. It's fine. Do you charge earbuds? I assume so. They're not magic, are they? Although it is Apple, they could be disposable. Anything that makes some money.
Exactly. I did say to Sean actually, because I'm using my AirPods, and I know that everything in Apple is a ripoff, but I cannot live without my AirPods. I'm not gonna. Right. Have we got any
chat there? But
yeah,
nothing.
Apple
Everyone's kind of talking about how Apple sucks. Yeah,
yeah,
everyone's talking about
that
all
sounds
sorts of
about right.
stuff.
I don't blame you. I know. It's like a drug. Nothing. Is there anything exciting going out on track? I think it's just Valtteri Bottas doing some
It's
slow
all
laps.
your long stints at the moment. We've got, is that a kid by the side of the track there enjoying his F1 testing? But yeah, a lot of long runs. Like I say, Charles Leclerc. What's he doing on? Let's have a look at sectors if they're up. 22.7, 29.6 and 22.7. Or 22.7 will be impressive for the final sector. 27.8. Personal best for Max Verstappen, but he's not done many laps, so that's not a great surprise. 1:17.3. Alex Albon isn't out there this afternoon, but he's still on the timing screen as doing a green sector for some reason. But anyway, maybe a glitch. So yeah, Max starting to put some laps in, but nothing. Long runs again. We had this yesterday as well. I think we've lost 2 days of testing, so they're kind of just trying to get as much in as possible, aren't they, before Australia? But I'm still hopeful we'll get some good, exciting stuff later on. If not, we'll have to talk about cheese or something, but we'll find something. It's fine.
Exactly. What's your view actually on the fact that we've got less testing compared to last year? I mean, maybe not in terms of the streaming side, but just in Formula One in general.
I was going to say, in the stream perspective, it's perfect. 6 is fine.
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of with Claire Williams in a way that from a cost perspective, it makes perfect sense to drop a couple of days of testing and to drop some of the in-season testing. But there are so few days testing now that I kind of feel like let them have the 8 days. It's only 2 days more, and I know from a cost perspective it's still a lot of money, but those extra 2 days would be handy for teams like Williams. And I think she's right as well with the young drivers. It means that Robert Kubica got some stints in, but if Williams had had an extra couple of days, would Jack Aitken have got a run in that car? If Mercedes have had an extra couple of days, would, dare I say, Stoffel have got a run in that car? For argument's sake,
here we go.
I think that it would give them an opportunity. Even if they said, look, yeah, you can have 8 days back, but for 2 of the days you must run your reserve drivers or your young drivers or your test drivers, so that at least then we get some new names out there and at least they're using it for some kind of rookie development, if you like. But also, back to the point I was making for Williams, is that they've had so many problems this week, and for a team that is struggling like that, they need that time back. So an extra 2 days right now for Mercedes will probably do them sod all, because they've just done so many laps and they've been, very consistent in their pace. But if you lose track time and you're already behind everybody, it's difficult to get that back. So although Latifi did a cracking job yesterday, by the way, to get the laps in, to recover from that,
definitely.
he really
Highest
did.
of the
But
day,
I
right?
think, yeah, pretty much. But I think it's not, you can't exclude Mercedes, Red Bull and Ferrari from it, because that's not fair. But some of the midfield teams and the back markers could do with it, but Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull don't need it, really.
I think it's quite it's really strange actually, because over the past, even like 10, 15 years, the amount of testing and the amount of running that the teams can do outside of a Grand Prix weekend has just gone less and less and less, to the point, where are we going with this? There's more races than ever before, but the teams are getting less time out on track outside of the races to actually develop their cars, or even just do mileage in general to see their reliability and how they're doing. So yeah, it's a really kind of strange kind of where we're going into this less testing, more races. I'm not a massive fan of it, to be honest. I do think that last year was a good balance, though. I feel like four days in 1 week, I feel like that was kind of about right. But do you think the teams already have almost too much data even after 3 days? So it is just, let's just save a bit of money.
Oh, they do for Barcelona. When we get to the Spanish Grand Prix, it'll be rubbish.
Yeah,
just too much information.
I'm not a big fan of Catalonia, I'm not going to lie. It's just one of those tracks that I'm just like, okay.
If we're testing now, we shouldn't be racing there.
I liked it when it was in Jerez, to be honest. I was a big fan of that track.
I'll have a read of that while I'm kind of chatting. Fran's in chat, by the way. I was only joking. I was only teasing you. I wasn't being genuinely horrible. I'm not mad at you, really, honestly.
By the way, I like that we were just talking about a minute ago or 5 minutes ago, and you always manage to get stuff in there somehow, don't you? You just...
Oh, yeah.
There's just always, that is the one thing I can bank on, is that somehow Sean is going to find a way to bring stuff into this live stream every single time.
I do it more to annoy people that hate it now than anything. No, I don't really. I just like the guy. I think from stories I've heard as well, talking to Hazel at Autosport, apparently he's quite clumsy as well. And anybody that's I love people that are clumsy, because that's just so me. I just like stuff a lot. It's not even about his talent. I mean, obviously I rate him and all that. It's not even about that. It's just he's just a genuinely nice and funny guy from the stuff I've seen of him and heard. So yeah, I like him. I was just having to read the coronavirus thing and what they're planning.
That's kind of hitting a lot of things, because it's really affecting. Well, certainly there's a lot of articles coming out about the coronavirus, not just impacting just the calendar, but even some teams going to the tracks. So do you think it's going to have a massive impact on 2020 in Formula One? I certainly think so, because yeah, there's a lot of panic at the moment.
We might not see races cancelled and postponed, but it's going to cause a lot of change behind the scenes. They're already mixing up their travel plans for the next 3 races, or the first 3 races, because they can't go to, I think it's Hong Kong and Singapore for stopovers at the moment. So they're having to change their travel plans, but they're just talking Chase Carey and Sebastian. I mean, Chase Carey came out yesterday or Wednesday and said, oh, look, Vietnam, Australia, Bahrain, in whatever order, they are all going ahead as planned. Don't worry about that. They are happening. And then Sebastian Vettel said in an interview that they're taking it day by day and they're going to make a decision next week. And then Chase Carey's come out and said it's an hour by hour thing that we have to keep an eye on. So this is kind of what we've touched on a few times now without getting too into it. It's all right, Chase Carey saying, yes, these races are going ahead 100%, but it is changing all the time, and there's no way you can make that commitment. We could get to the middle of next week and Australia get called off because Australia have said, this is extreme, and I'm sure they won't, but Australia could turn around and go, that's it, until this is sorted, no one's coming in our country. I'm not, Annette, don't hate me, I'm not accusing the Aussies of anything at all. I'm just saying they could, in theory, middle of next week say that. So that's Australia off. And then Bahrain might do the same. So until, I don't think we're going to know for sure. It's going to affect the travel and some other, logistics around things, but I don't think we'll see races postponed. But in theory, because the situation is moving so quickly and developing so quickly, we still don't know for sure. So I think there's a question mark over a lot of the first part of the season, but the only one I wouldn't be surprised to see called off is Vietnam.
Yeah, Vietnam. But I feel like the problem with that is that the Liberty Media are really pushing this narrative that, yes, we are going there 100%. They're almost being a little bit stubborn about it. They really want to go there. And I'm not saying they're avoiding the health. They're not looking at the health side, but certainly they I think at the same time they want to make that money of going to a brand new race. And I'm not a big fan of them I'm not a big fan of them creating more races, this whole Miami GP. I mean, what do you think about it? Because they seem to have this agenda of just putting more and more races.
I mean, Miami's not going to happen.
I hope not.
I'm going to make that prediction now. I said this on one of the days it was a video possibly actually, where if you want to, Liberty are so desperate to expand the market in the US, and I totally understand why. It's a big place, and getting a couple of races there makes sense. Have Kota and then go somewhere else. But if you want to grow your market in the US, the last thing you need to do is go to Miami and piss off the local straight away, because that is not going to help your image in America at all. So,
and that's already happened without there even being cars there.
They don't want them there.
Exactly.
So don't go to Miami. Go to, and I'm sure chat will start throwing some names in here. There are some great tracks in America. Go use them. We don't need a street track in Miami. If Miami don't want the race, stop it. Go somewhere else. Use an existing track. Let's have some great racing at a great racetrack. There you go.
But again, I feel like it's just the FIA, or not the FIA, sorry, Liberty Media just being so stubborn. They have their minds so set on Miami, and I don't want to say I'm worried for the calendar, but certainly in the past, even 20 years, there's been so many less old school proper, and I do mean proper racing tracks and more of these high tech circuits that are just, I don't know. I feel like the best races, if we kind of look back into last year, the best races were always at those older circuits, the ones that we know are going to give us good racing.
I guess as well, I think we are heading towards a 25 race calendar, by the way. Chase Carey saying, "Oh yes, but we've increased the limit to 25." That is not the goal. That's not the target. That's just in case. You don't raise the limit of races unless you intend to hit that target. So They're going for 25 races, and if they're doing that, they need to be good races. But my concern is if we have, there's talk about a Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. There's talk about another race possibly in China. Obviously, no race at the moment this year in China, but in the future, another race in China, another race in America. We're going to get to a point where we're going, the World Championship if it's going to be a World Championship, make it a truly World Championship. That's fine. But do we want to lose, for argument's sake, a Spa or a Monza for a Saudi Arabia Grand Prix? No.
No way.
No.
That's one legacy. That's the heritage. I completely, yeah. Oh, it just boils my blood even thinking about it.
Well, we're getting to that point. We've got so many European races, and people say, "Oh, there's a lot of races in Europe, so cut it back." Yeah, Europe's a big continent. America's a big continent, and so is Asia. So that's fine. But cutting it back is fine. But there's going to come a point where the big fan favourite races and historical races are going to have to get the chop if you want to go racing in other countries. So we could end up losing a Spa, a Monza, a Silverstone. I don't think we'd ever lose Monaco because I don't think they dare. But we are I'm trying to think of European races that are. Hungary, you could lose Hungary, but then people would argue, well, that's historic. It's been on the calendar for a long time, and of course, being historic shouldn't save your place on the calendar. You should still give good races and have good facilities, but you're going to have to lose some pretty epic racetracks if you want to accommodate the entire planet, basically. So, and Silverstone, Spa, Monza, lose any of them, your blood's boiling. I'd be
Exactly.
exactly the same.
Yeah, but I feel like the racetracks you just mentioned, I mean, let's just turn back to 2019. I feel like we had really good races there.
Mm.
Even Monaco was a different kind of Monaco where, of course, Lewis Hamilton had to hold off Max Verstappen. Hungary had its Verstappen versus Hamilton battle, and then of course Spa perhaps wasn't the most exciting, but it was great to see obviously Charles Leclerc get his first ever win there, and Monza as well. That was another really good race where we had Leclerc versus Hamilton. So those old school tracks do deliver.
Do you know where we should be racing?
Go for it. Where is it?
Finland.
Oh yes,
We should be.
that'd be amazing.
How many? Finland have given us some bloody fantastic Finnish drivers. Let's give them a race.
Yeah.
They forget all the others. Actually, they gave us Kimi Raikkonen. I mean, come on.
I feel like it would be, yeah, Jonty there. I'm just here for the Antarctic Grand Prix. I do think that's the problem with Finland, though. The weather, where it is it ever not cold and snowing there? And Formula One cars do not work great in the cold, let alone the snow. By the way,
It would spice up the weekend.
exactly. Don't complain about tires overheating now.
Yeah. What tyres is Seb on? Snow tyres. It'd be
Exactly.
brilliant.
I will say someone just mentioned Turkey. I know that obviously with where the country is and the political situation, it's not great and it's not looking like it's going to come back anytime soon. But I loved the track at Turkey. I thought it was great.
Um, I think I'm saying it again. The Bud International Circuit, India, really good track, good racing. South Korea, we said this yesterday. Absolutely brilliant races there. Fantastic track. Just nobody could get to it, and
You see,
nobody
for
was
me,
interested.
see, I like the South Korea track was quite interesting. I wasn't a big fan of the Indian track, the Bud International Circuit. That was probably one of my least favorites actually. But I think it's just the economy of the countries, and certainly, like you said, how are people going to get to them? But yeah, I feel like the biggest memory though from India was Sebastian Vettel winning his fourth title in a row, doing those
Yeah,
donuts, and just some of those pictures. Like seriously, it makes me have goosebumps even now. So certainly a lot of history that happened at that track.
yeah. I quite like the track. Obviously, I want to see Sepang back. We should be racing there, but
Yes,
yes,
Sepang.
it's
There's a
not.
lot of good.
Sorry, mate. I'm just trying to work out why my super chats are not showing up in my panel. But Chris Davis has sent a super chat, and I think he was asking essentially if Renault were to pull out at the end of this year, where do Ricardo and Ocon go? And that's a good question. I think probably
That's a
you'd find to whoever bought the Enstone team out, because somebody will buy the Enstone team if they go under.
Yeah, I've seen that sheet. Yeah, tinfoil hat time. I mean, if we're really saying Renault completely pull out, out of no one's buying them out. They are just completely gone. Honestly, I see Haas taking up at least if they're obviously if Ricardo and Ocon really are desperate for seats in Formula One. I kind of see Haas as being a really good location. Maybe Alfa Romeo as well. To be honest, I could see Ricardo in an Alfa.
Maybe. I mean, it'd be a good option if Raikkonen were to retire, because a lot of experience there, and
Yeah,
that could
I,
work.
s- I still feel so sorry for Rick, and I do want to get chat involved in this. Daniel Ricciardo, and please obviously comment in the chat. I still think he is a championship caliber driver. I do feel so sorry for him. I think I think he made a mistake going to Renault, in my opinion. But to me, he's still up there with some of the very best. He's capable of winning races, and I think mentally he's also capable of winning championships as well. And I do mean this, I really do hope that he at least gets a shot in his career of fighting for the title because, yeah, I still rate him as one of the best on the grid. I don't know about you.
I'm looking at a list of drivers just to try and make sure I put him in the right spot here. Um, I can't do it on the timing screen because it keeps moving. Um, I think we had this debate last week and upset a lot of people, didn't we, on Danny Rick?
Yeah.
Because how dare we have our own opinion? I mean, without going too
Some
into it again, he's got to be top 5 on the grid.
Absolutely, yeah. I
Surely,
mean,
I
let's
can't think
if
of
we
many
do,
below.
yeah, I think he's top 4 to be honest. You have Hamilton, Verstappen. I think Leclerc, and we had this exact debate a week ago. Leclerc Ricardo for me is a really close matchup at the moment. Where if you consider where Charles Leclerc is in his development, and of course he is going to get better, but I think that's a really good kind of tossing and turning. Is Daniel Ricciardo in third place? Is he in fourth place? He's definitely top 5 though, in my opinion.
I was watching Max Verstappen on the C2s. Personal best first sector, a bit wide out of 5. I'll go through the times in a minute. I'm just letting chat answer. I'll ask this question. I think a lot of people agreeing that quite a few people think Danny Rick's overrated. I would probably argue he's
I think
maybe a
that
little bit more underrated than.
he's underrated. The reason why they're probably saying that is because he's been in that Renault, and people, it's obviously a lot more difficult in that midfield to shine and really do amazing things. But even like last year, he almost finished on the podium in Monza, and that was like a Grand Prix where he finished in fourth, and I remember Hulkenberg in fifth, and that was a race where there was no safety cars, if I remember correctly.
Mm.
It was just on pure pace, so he has still got it. There's no doubt about it. And of course, in Germany, I think he retired with a reliability issue quite early. So I still think he's got it. I've said this time and time again. Just put him in the right car, and I still think he's a championship, like at least championship challenging driver. And I see a lot of people saying Daniel Ricciardo to Ferrari as well. That's going to be a rumor that is going to be circling all year long. It's been circling for about 2 and a bit years. I do still think that Sebastian is going to continue at Ferrari, and again, I think Daniel Ricciardo might be kind of a prisoner of timing, because if he has to wait another year or two for Seb to retire to maybe have another shot to go at Ferrari, what about Mick Schumacher and some of the young Ferrari like Robert Schwartzman as well that are going to come into Formula One hopefully? So he might just be one of those drivers that kind of gets left behind by the next generation, even though he is still a quality driver, kind of almost a Perez-esque driver. I don't know if you kind of get what I'm saying, Sean.
Yeah, I was just going to say on the Ferrari thing for Ricciardo. Vettel said that he knows what he wants to do. Ferrari have said they want to keep him, so it sounds like he might be staying. But if Vettel leaves Ferrari, Ricciardo will go to Ferrari. They will go and get him, but their first option is Vettel. I was just going to say as well, Max Verstappen with a cracking lap. I would call that a cracking lap. He's on the C2 within just over 5/10 off Ricciardo's time on the C5 and Leclerc's time on the C5 and Hamilton as well. So, number one, we can't read too much into this. It's only testing. The times mean nothing. Number two, it shows that testing means nothing, because there's no way that Red Bull is that much quicker on a compound, that much harder than Ferrari and Mercedes. But that is still a really good lap based on the times we've seen today so far. He looks a little bit more on it than usual, but not as on it as you might see, for example, in qualifying in Australia. But yeah, 1:16.8. I forgot your question. Was it Perez?
Oh, just
that Ricciardo might end up a bit of a Perez character.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Could do. I mean, I agree with you on I'm going to try and get this right. You said prisoner of time?
Or something like that. Yeah, just get completely caught up and get overtaken, maybe. Just get caught up in just get caught up in the time and get overtaken by the next generation, even if pace-wise he's just as good and maybe even better.
He could do, because if you let's say Seb stays a couple more years and nothing changes at the front, if you're Mercedes and Danny Rick's 31, 32 and Lando Norris becomes available as well, who do you sign in that situation? We don't know what Lando Norris is going to develop into, of course, but the point I'm making is age-wise, I tend to agree that the next generation might leapfrog him. So if he doesn't get into a top 3 team soon, I think he could end up stuck in that midfield. But that midfield's not a bad place to be. Perez does a very good job for Racing Point in there, so it's not a bad place to be, and it's massively competitive. But I think Danny Rick would be a fantastic world champion. I really, really do. But I think his time's starting to run out now. But that being said, Damon Hill was like 35, 6 before he won his first title, something like that. I don't know. But yeah.
That's the hope that
tough.
he's... that's the hope that perhaps Ricciardo is holding on to. But I will say, obviously, 30 years ago or 20-something years ago when Damon won those titles, he did not have 17, 18, 19-year-olds coming into the sport. So that's kind of the big difference there.
I want to know how old Damon Hill was now.
Was
it
he like
might require mathematics.
Was he like in his late 20s or early 30s or something, if I remember?
He was. Oh, that'll make it easy. He was born in 1960. He won the title in 1996. So that would be 36.
Yep.
So it was, older than me. I could still be a world champion. Look at that.
No comment.
I can't even drive a road car quickly.
We need to have. I really want to get like all the Formula One YouTubers together and have like a go-kart race. That'd be so great. Like we see sometimes WTF1 doing that. We need to do like this with all of us guys. That'd be so great and so much fun.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd film that. Don't worry.
Maybe for China, because there's no Chinese race.
The Formula One YouTubers Grand Prix done.
Oh, that'd be the slow. No, we Formula 2. WTF1 have done the F1 championship. We have to do the F2 championship, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure China weekend we could all hop on the game or something and have a race. I don't know if you've got the game. That was presumptuous.
No,
Aldas has a life. There you go.
this is, Stop sounding so jealous. So literally, my like Formula One gaming career is this. I sweated the game out when I was like really young. The amount of hours I put on F1 2013, I could not even tell you. Then I didn't play it for like 3 or 4 years, but I actually continued to watch Formula One as I kind of went through school and everything. And I don't know why I kind of just completely forgot about it. And then the last Formula One game I have is 2017, and I play on it like once a month, just when when sometimes you watch Formula One on TV and you're like, oh, I really want to go on that track and try it on the game. So that's literally the only Formula One game I have now at 2017, racing with Stoffel Van Dorn, of course.
The last one, I mean, the last time I played F1 2019 was the other week with Dan online, and that was the first time I played in ages. I just can't get into it. I'm sure Codemaster's done a great job, so I just don't really.
I just don't have the time anymore. I love the game. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm really busy, to be honest, recently.
Ooh. I'm going to go through the times in a second. Don't worry, I just said I'd do that 6 minutes ago. But just going to quickly have a look at this article. Some quotes from Franz Tost on race fans. It's possibly the same article I've already mentioned, but according to Franz Tost, it would be unfair to start the 2020 season if some teams are unable to attend the first race. Now, we touched on this yesterday about the possibility that Ferrari or AlphaTauri or anybody from Italy can't get to the first few races because of this coronavirus situation, to bang on about that again. We did touch on it yesterday, and we were kind of like, what would teams do? What would the FIA do? Would they allow the race to go ahead if Ferrari and AlphaTauri can't get, or would it be suspended? So Franz Tost obviously talking there about how if the racing can't go ahead, it's not fair on Ferrari and AlphaTauri, and I tend to agree. It's not their fault, is it? So maybe... I mean, it just opens up a whole can of worms. We kind of discussed it yesterday. If Ferrari and AlphaTauri can't do the first, let's argue, 2 races, and the FIA and F1 say, well, I'll tell you what, we'll run them as non-championship events, they've still used the power units. So Ferrari have had 2 extra races with or 2 fewer races with their power units. So why? It's just going to open a can of worms and a mess. So I think...
It's really going to overcomplicate everything, I think. Hopefully this coronavirus doesn't just affect Formula One too much, but like you said, it really does open up a massive can of worms, because at the end of the day, it is still the team's job to get to the Grand Prix events. And do you see Liberty Media cancelling a race just because 2 teams can't get there, even though Ferrari, I mean, that's a pretty big team, but I don't see them cancelling it. I think it would just be one of those cases where you just have to get there. It's your job as a team to take all the precautions you can and all the safety measures as well to just get to the race. So yeah, it's a very touch and go kind of, and it's a very tricky subject, to be honest, at the moment.
For me, the right thing to do is if a team can't get there, the race doesn't go ahead. But then, as you've said, are Liberty going to dip out of a hosting fee and all of that sort of thing, and what are sponsors going to do? Yeah. It's a hell of a mess. So I don't know, but Franz Tost just saying he thinks it'll be unfair, but I'll go through the times. I mean, Franz Tost, AlphaTauri based in Italy, he's going to say it's unfair, isn't he? He's not going to say, yeah, cancel it, why not? 1:16.2 for Daniel Ricciardo, still fastest from this morning, 65 laps. He managed to do that, was on the C5 tyres. Charles Leclerc, 1:16.3 for him. He also set that on the C5 tyre this morning. 144 laps though. He's in for the afternoon as well. Lewis Hamilton 1:16.4, 90 laps. Sorry, that was also on the C5 tyre. Sergio Perez a 1:16.6. That was on the C3 tyre. 117 laps so far. Esteban Ocon in for Ricciardo this afternoon. 41 laps already. That's taken them over the 100. Had to double check that. 1:16.7. Max Verstappen 1:16.8. That was on the C2, as I was saying earlier. 21 laps so far. Carlos Sainz 1:16.8, 138 laps. George Russell 1:16.8, 81 laps. Valtteri Bottas 1:16.8, 37 laps. Daniel Kvyat 1:16.9, 127 laps. Romain Grosjean a 1:17.0, 86 laps. Kimi Raikkonen 1:17.4, 115 laps. Alex Albon 1:17.8 on 59 laps, and Mr. Magnussen 16 laps so far. Not many. 1:18.4. I will check Twitter. It's not really. There's not much point checking Haas Twitter for information because they don't do it. They're not one of those. No.
Yeah.
Oh, I will shut up. Apologies to Haas. Their tweet. Car is back in the garage as the crew work on an issue with the clutch. There you go. So apologies.
Well, there we
Has
go.
to give us information. I'm going to do that before I go to every single one and I'll be wrong. So issue with the clutch
What?
for Mr. Magnussen, as I'm calling him apparently this afternoon.
I just love the way we literally just say like, yeah, they don't say anything, and then like half a second later, you're like, hang on a minute, yes, they do.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hang on, I've got some news. I do love
Is this-
news.
Is this breaking news?
Breaking news. F1 related, but not really F1. ART Grand Prix and Renault Sports Academy have issued the following statement. Regrettably, due to a genuine force majeure situation, Danish racer Christian Lundgaard will be unable to take part in the official FIA Formula 2 test in Bahrain from the 1st of March to the 30th of March 2020. Christian has been participating in a winter training camp in Tenerife. However, he has been detained on the island following an outbreak of coronavirus in his hotel. Christian has been checked by medical experts and is fit and well and not displaying any symptoms of the COVID-19. However, the governing authorities have ruled all guests of the hotel must remain in quarantine for 2 weeks as a precaution against the spread of the virus. And here is what the biggest problem with this virus is. It's not necessarily teams and drivers catching it and spreading it. It's that countries are stopping people leaving for so long after they've been there. So this is what the problem's going to be. So Lundgaard is not testing in Bahrain. So there's your first problem.
I did see that. Yeah. Yeah. This is just an example of the problem that could be happening. I mean, I suppose the Formula One teams aren't in the countries for too long, but then that's the whole point about Ferrari and AlphaTauri. They're always in Italy. That's where they're based. So yeah, again, it's really tricky to really talk about this because we just don't know what's going to happen. We kind of hope and pray that it's going to be all fine, that the Formula One races are going to go ahead and that it's all going to be safe. But the really big problem is that massive. I even saw, it may have been an article on Sky, that apparently the manager of Newcastle United has actually said, or something, that they've put forward this thing where you can't shake hands or something because of the coronavirus. I don't know if it's like true or not, but the thing about sports events is a lot of people, very crowded places, and diseases and viruses. That's literally how they spread the best. So it's, yeah, we'll see how it obviously develops, but hopefully it won't affect the 2020 season too much.
So Newcastle United players can't shake hands at the training ground. That's interesting. Is that why they stopped scoring goals as well then?
Clearly, I mean, well, yeah.
Safety
Didn't you know that you
first.
need hands to score? Yeah, you need hands to score goals in football.
I was saying that's why, like, no contact then, because if they score a goal, they tend to celebrate, don't they, by hugging each other. So if they don't score goals, they'd have to celebrate. So I'm just saying that, hoping Jordan's somewhere, but I don't think he is.
You're a United fan, aren't you? Manchester United.
Lincoln City.
Oh, right. Okay.
Back it out of that one quickly.
His team have one good game, win like 5-0, and now he thinks he's like the best ever. Let me roast every single other team now.
Did we win 5-0? When did we win 5-0?
I think it was last night against some Bruges team or something in Europa, wasn't it?
Well, that's how much of a Man United fan I am. I didn't even bloody know that. I'm sat here like, did we play yesterday? Oh, Europa League, yeah. Woo. Congrats.
Yeah. Lingard, he's a real young talent. He's one for the future. Right, back on the topic of Formula One. Anything exciting out on track?
Jesse.
I think it's just more long runs, really.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that Man United played last night. Oh dear.
I must admit that Verstappen lap, I think, just proves. Well, he's now in sixth place because Ocon's gone up to fifth. I think that Verstappen lap time on the C2 just proves that Red Bull really do have a lot in hand, and they are purely just trying to set that car up absolutely perfectly and trying to understand it before they really kind of let the leash off. Let's be honest, at the start of the season.
Oh, Bottas on the C4s. We might get a half decent lap here. 3/10 down in the first sector on Ricciardo's time. So it is a compound harder, but I would still expect Bottas to go quicker in proper qualifying trim on a compound softer than Ricciardo. You never know. Maybe there's more pace in that Renault than we were expecting. Maybe. The W Hotel at the Yas Marina circuit is in lockdown according to the BBC. Yeah, I saw that this morning, actually. Jordan is in chat, but I think he's only just arrived, so he's missed my dig about Newcastle, so we're all right.
Literally just saw that, yeah.
Quirk. Yeah, I'm just watching Bottas's lap. So this is not a great radio commentary. I'm fully aware, but I'm not a radio station, so I'm just watching his lap as he comes across the line. Valtteri Bottas. Ooh, good final sector and middle sector. 1:16.6. That noise again was 16.6 for Bottas, up to fourth place, ahead just behind Hamilton, who did a 16.4.
See, this is really interesting. What's the time on your screen right now? Like how many minutes left and seconds?
1 minute 44.50. No, 1 hour 44.50. It just went to.
That went quick. Yeah. See, I'm like a minute and a half to 2 minutes behind. So this is kind of funny when you're
Yeah,
saying stuff. Oh, I can't wait to see this.
it's like there's a delay as well. There's a YouTube delay, so I'm looking now. It's about 10 seconds. So I'm saying things now that you guys are going to hear in 10 seconds. Although if you're hearing this, you're hearing this now. So that doesn't. Shut up, Sean. You know the point I'm making. So yeah, I'm 10 seconds behind. So then you add that to like a Now TV delay. Bizarre. I don't know why. I mean, I understand the YouTube delay because it's about encoding and all of that business, but I don't understand why. Actually, no. To be fair, I don't understand, but I think somebody has explained in chat before during a live stream last year why Now TV and Sky Go are so far behind. But if they're here, they might explain it again. But it's really weird.
How do you feel about kind of the TV coverage over the past, 2 or 3 years? Because certainly when I started watching Formula One, BBC in 2012, that coverage was so good. Like I really like Jake Humphries as a presenter. That's kind of the best coverage I've ever seen. They had Lee McKenzie. They even had Gary Anderson doing all the technical stuff. It was just so great to watch. And then the banter between Eddie Jordan and David Coulthard. But I just feel like it's all kind of gone downhill a little bit in this paywall era.
Valtteri Bottas just squashing a cone, the swine. I didn't like Jonathan Ledyard in the BBC commentary box. I don't know if you remember him. I wasn't a fan at all, but I did like Jake Humphrey as a presenter. I like him anyway. But so yeah, definitely. I'm not a big. I don't dislike Simon Lazenby, but when I compare him to, for example, Jake, I would much rather have Jake any day of the week.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah,
Sky coverage is
definitely
good, and I think they've got some good pundits and some good ex-drivers. But is it worth what is with your basic package and your Sky Sports? Is it worth 30 quid a month?
not
Probably
sure.
not.
Probably not.
But
Because that's the thing. Back in the day, in 20 again back in the day, in 2012, you used to have obviously every single race free on the BBC and the red button afterwards as well. So another like 2 hours of content even after the race, all for free.
I was just gonna say like I don't know if the Sky coverage is worth 30 quid a month, but to me, F1 probably is. I don't think I could put a price on how much I'd pay for F1 a month. I couldn't. The minute the BBC announced that they were losing it, or they were letting it go to Sky, and they come up with an agreement, I was like, I have to get Sky. I can't not watch F1 live. I just
Yeah,
can't.
I'm also not a big fan of the channel because I know the BBC kind of carried it over into Channel 4, or Channel 4 took their presenters and tried to keep the same, but it's just not the same, is it? It's nowhere near the same. Like presenters kind of are in and out a little bit. I do like Mark Webber. He's a really good pundit, but I'm not a big fan of Steve Jones at all.
Hmm. I no. I've never been. I wasn't a fan of Steve Jones on T4, going back a long way. So yeah, no, I agree with that
I feel
one.
like he's just way too over the top. You do need, to be fair, a pundit team needs to have one person that's never driven Formula One cars or maybe never even raced, and I feel like that's really important because we need to have that kind of fish out of water kind of presenter that we can relate to, that kind of is asking the questions that we want to know as people that have never driven those cars. And I feel like that's why I really like Jake Humphries because he was always asking the questions that I wanted to know as someone who's obviously never driven a racing car. But I just feel like he wasn't too over the top, unlike nowadays when it's just kind of like, And again, I don't mind Simon Lazenby, but he's just kind of average. Do you know what I mean? Like he's okay, but he doesn't blow me away.
Yeah, he's one of those. If someone's like, "Oh, what do you think of Simon Lazenby?" You're just going to go, "Yeah, he's all right.
Anyway, he's okay.
He's all right." He's just one of those, isn't he? But Charles Leclerc putting his earplugs in. Looks like he's getting back in the car after a break, after his long runs. We've only got Russell and Kvyat out there at the moment with an hour and 40 minutes to go, not just of today, but of testing full stop. The next time we see cars on track is Australia.
Yes, and not too, not even too long. It's 2 weeks now,
Two
isn't it?
weeks. 2 weeks today, we'll be watching. No, in the UK, obviously, well, anywhere, but obviously it's early hours, isn't it? So 2 weeks today, we'll have already seen practice 1 and 2.
and I do see you there in the comments. Why is Gordon Ramsay commentating Formula One? Like, how do you know what I look like? And then Ald Haas. Oh my god, these are getting worse.
They are getting worse.
Jesus Christ, we really are at the end of the 2 weeks, aren't we? It's like we're really running the river dry here.
And that's why we will end up on cheese. It's inevitable.
Exactly. The one thing I do, unless you have something to talk about, I do want to ask you one thing that was kind of someone put a comment in one of my videos, and I found it quite interesting because do you find it quite strange and unique the fact that in motor racing and specifically Formula One, in basketball or Formula One, when you're not doing obviously the games, you can go and practice whenever you want, you can play the sport, but in Formula One, you can't test your car whenever you want. You can't just do practice for as long as you want. You've got to turn up under pressure and kind of deliver just there and then in every single practice session and in every single quali and race session. I find that really it kind of made me realize just how unique this sport is. Like, you don't even get to practice that much in your actual race car.
Yeah. No, I get. I was just thinking then. I totally get the point. That it is kind of bizarre. You know, a footballer, worst case scenario, they can kick the ball around in the back garden, kind of thing, and get some practice in. So yeah, but I think. Well, I was gonna say it doesn't cost hundreds of thousands, if not more, for footballers to practice, whereas it does for Formula One. But actually, you know, paying a footballer's wages, it probably does. To be fair, but yeah, it is quite surreal when you think about it like that. I've never really thought about it until you said. That's why I'm a bit kind of like, oh,
yeah,
that's an
it just
interesting
kind of made me
point.
realize when I read the comment, it's like true. If you even whatever cricket, football, basketball, you can go and have practice sessions with your teams. You can play it in the off season. You can play it all day
Got
if you want. But with
simulators
Formula One,
maybe now, haven't we? So
yeah, that's literally as close as they
yeah.
get.
I think simulators now. Oh, when I was a kid, they had to go on a pedal go-kart to practice. No, they've got simulators in that now. So I suppose that's about as close you're going to get to it. But that is an interesting point. Yeah, footballers and that can do what they want. Golfers can go and play a few. You know, Lando Norris can't go, right, I'm off to Tesco or whatever. Other supermarkets available. I see my with Tesco. I'm going to take the MCL 35. He can't do that, can he? Although, 1997 Prost launch, Olivier Panis took the 97 Prost around the streets of Monaco.
Nice.
Like properly driving around in traffic and all of that. So it could happen, but no helmet or anything. But he was doing about 12 miles an hour, so I shouldn't worry about that.
That's probably as fast as that Prost car ever went, to be honest. Let's be honest.
97 Prost wasn't bad until he stuck it in the wall in Canada and broke his legs. But
Actually, to be fair, didn't he get a podium in Monaco? Olivier Panis. Or
he
that was
won
a few
Monaco
years back,
96.
That's the one, yeah.
With
When it was like a
Ligier.
crazy race where about 4 people finished.
Yeah, and David Coulthard wore Michael Schumacher's helmet.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember the exact story. It was something to do with his helmet supplier. Either his helmet supplier hadn't turned up or they'd not got the right spec helmet. It was something to do. His helmet wasn't fit for purpose or wasn't there. And Michael Schumacher gave him one of the spare ones because his helmet supplier was the same one, so it would fit him. So if you go back, if you do a quick Google for David Coulthard Monaco 96, you'll see Michael Schumacher's helmet in a McLaren, and that's David Coulthard. Somebody will tell me in chat in a minute, because there'll be somebody here who remembers the story behind it, I'm sure. But it was something, essentially Coulthard's helmet wasn't there, and they put... didn't have the... That was it, thank you very much. Didn't have the double visor for anti-fog.
I see that, yeah. So weird seeing Schumacher's helmet in a McLaren car.
So there you go.
God, that's so weird looking at that now. But yeah, that's, well, fair enough to Schumacher, to be fair. How many times have I just said fair? Jesus Christ, sorry about that.
It's all right. Fair.
You know, you have these like you have these really weird like speaking habits and you just can't like shake them off.
Well, somebody pointed that out to me this morning on the stream, that apparently I say yeah at the end of a lot of sentences and it gets annoying. But as I said this morning, you don't realise until somebody points it out, and then they point it out. And when you go to record a video, you just sat there and you're like, oh my God, I do. I need to stop
It is one
that.
of those, yeah,
sure.
when I edit, I don't know if you've ever done this, but sometimes it is very difficult to change your speaking habits, because I do have phrases that I say all the time, and it is so annoying when I hear them back. I try to like trim them out of my audio just to make sure that they're not in there too much, but it's really strange to try and change your speaking habits.
We, as creators, we will always try to change our speaking habits, but even though I do it and I'm guilty of it, I would say we shouldn't have to. If that is your speaking habit, that is how you speak. Tough. It's not going to kill anyone, but you do feel like, because you get comments, you get conscious of it, and pick it out, don't you? So, yeah.
Yeah, because what people don't realize is that at the end of the day, we're actually like we are our worst critics and our hardest critics. We always like, certainly for me, I always look at my videos and I'm just like, oh my god, just hate everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
We've just moved on to another YouTube rant right here.
Oh,
These segues that we're doing just always seem to go there, don't they?
Johnson, I love. Johnson says, "Do you think the angry Shuey in Spa 98 was saying, and after I load you my helmet, you idiots, to Coulthard?"
That's exactly what he was saying. There was no fight. He was just saying that as he was walking, as he was in his face. He really. What do you think of that whole situation, though? I still don't get Schumacher's point of view, though. Like, what could David Coulthard have done more? I just don't know.
I understand his anger because in his head at that point, he's probably thinking he's just sabotaged me on purpose because Häkkönen's not. He's probably thought it's some kind of conspiracy. When you look back, no, Schumacher doesn't need to be flying up behind him. Like, if there's a risk that your title rival's teammate is going to wipe you out, you don't approach that quickly. You sort of back off and take it easy. And in Coulthard's defence, he's looking in his mirror. He slows down to let Schumacher by, and it's up to Schumacher then to go by. But I can confirm, and this will be no great surprise, but I can confirm that in 1998, for that race, Coulthard was a cheating swine. However, having grown up and I'm no longer fanboying over Schumacher, that was not Coulthard's fault.
Well, I'm shocked, mate. That's a shocking revelation right here. I'm stunned, absolutely speechless.
Oh, Schumacher could do no wrong when I was a kid, but now when I look back, he did a lot wrong. But some will vouch for, if you're a fanboy of a driver, they can never do any wrong. Have you seen my comment sections?
I always say, I think I said this a week ago. The most dangerous thing you could give to a Verstappen fan is a smartphone with Twitter on it. That's the truth right there.
Tom97 says all the time, so far so good apparently. There you go. There you go. It is what it is.
It is, yes. I think there's just like, on track looking. There's not too much to talk about what's going on, is there?
No, Max has just gone back out on track. Charles on his runs again. Russell has been out there for about a week, I think.
Have you seen the skies though? It looks like it's going to rain soon, but I think it's been that for a while.
I wonder if that's why they're whacking some laps in now.
Leclerc 145 laps. Not too bad. Not too bad.
Who are our top lap counts? Yeah, 145, 146 for Leclerc, 122 for Perez, 141 for Sainz, 137 for Fiat. So, I tell you what, K-Mag's lost a lot of time in testing, and he's still in the pitch having his clutch having his clutch fixed. That was a mouthful. So I think he's been very frustrated with his testing. In fact, actually, do you know what? I was going to put some pictures in, but before I do that, let's have a look at what his count was. His lap count was before today. So obviously it doesn't update until the end of the session. So let's have a look what it was before today. It wasn't huge. I think was it 213? I said this morning. Let's find out if I was right. So overall, 221 was K-Mag's count. So he's added another 16 to that. And when you compare that to Grosjean, who's done 313 plus his 3 million this morning, what did he do? 86. So Magnussen's a long way off.
Yeah.
What's Raikkonen doing?
Do you think that's...
Yeah.
What do you think about Williams and Haas? Where do you compare them at the moment? Because for Williams, I mean, there was a lot of laps done by Latifi. George Russell set quite a good time in the morning. Do you think Williams are ahead of Haas at the moment? I mean, it's all speculation, but we love to speculate.
No, I think Williams was so far. I know they closed up towards the end of last season, but they were so far off last season, and they've evolved that car, and Haas will have done the same. I think they will be much. I think you've got to fight. I like what Sky was saying this morning. Ted was saying about, and Andy Green at Racing Point was saying that maybe you've got AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, Haas and Williams in their own little fight in that four at the back. I think Williams are probably still 10th, but they're not a second and a half, 2 seconds off the pace like they were last year. So I think they're in the fight.
Lot closer.
Yeah, but I don't see that. I'd love them to. I would love them to, but I don't see how they can gain all that time on a limited budget with just an evolution of last year's car, which wasn't great anyway, and suddenly find themselves 9th, 8th, 7th in the championship, as much as I'd love them to. But I think just being closer is a win for Williams. They were nowhere. If they can go into every race with a chance of maybe sneaking out of Q1 and a chance of maybe beating a Haas or an Alfa or one of the Alphas, whether it's the Tories or the Romeos, I think that's a huge step forward for them. Because last year it was, can George Russell beat Kubica? Can Kubica beat Russell? That was it. That's all they had.
So looking, and I do want to get the chat involved. I want to know your opinion. So definitely comment in the box below. Obviously, what do you think about Claire Williams and her tenure at the Williams team and how she has been over the past few years? Do you see her? Do you see her at that team? Do you see someone even being able to tell her, you might want to step down?
I think she must be doing. We don't have all the information, do we? Like as fans, we don't get all that. But to me, she must be doing something right somewhere to still be in that position. But I also think her tenure of the team kind of coincided with a bit of a rough time for them. I know, 2014 they were competitive, in 2015 they were, but they were always going to go backwards. They just got a good leap because of the old Mercedes power unit, because they got that one for 2014.
They were totally riding the success of that Mercedes power unit in the early hybrid.
Absolutely, and I think that I just think they were always going to go backwards, and she's got an impossible task there as well, because she's got very little budget, more than some, but very little budget. They haven't got the best designers in. They had all that with Paddy Lowe, little wink, Paddy Lowe last year. So I just
can't wait to watch about him in Drive to Survive.
I don't think she's as bad as people make out. I think she must be doing something right somewhere. But I have to be honest, and this isn't just me being an old person. Chris Davis in chat, hiring the wrong people. That's a very good shout. Back to the Paddy Lowe thing. But the problem is, I know there have been people in that position before, but she is filling some pretty massive shoes in Sir Frank, and she's never going to be a Sir Frank Williams, and she's always going to be compared to him.
Yeah, but for good reason. At the same time, you say she's filling big shoes, no doubt about it. But is she really doing a good enough job if they're at the back of the field on years, except when they had the Mercedes engine? Because even if you go to, they had a good 2012, obviously, but when you go to 2013, 2016, 2017, they had a podium with Stroll, and then the last 2 years as well. I know you say she's filling big shoes, but at the same time, she's not delivering the results that Williams should be delivering. And at the end of the day, as much as she complains about the money that the team doesn't have compared to the big teams, well, teams like Racing Point and Haas also don't have the amount of history that Williams do as well, and some of the extras that come along with that, and some of the benefits that come along with being a very sort of a team with a lot of heritage.
She's filling big shoes on a legacy side of things because she's filling her dad's shoes. But what I would say is that the results aren't there under Claire, but they weren't there before either. I'm not talking about 92 when they're winning titles, etc., 96, but they weren't exactly challenging for wins post BM. I mean, what 2000 and I'm gonna have to go back.
I think early 2000s with Montoya was like the peak that they had after the success that they had in the 90s.
Yeah, when BMW came in, they really got a boost from that, didn't they?
Yeah,
and I do miss Williams and BMW.
They were basically the manufacturer team, weren't they, Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 2005, they're fifth, and then you go on to 2000. They just kept going backwards, and even under Sir Frank, they weren't delivering. Whoever was in charge at the team at the time, they weren't delivering. So it's not all Claire, and I agree with you. She should be doing better, but if the resources aren't there and the team were in a mess anyway, I just don't. She's not amazing, and she's not doing the job that his name's escaped me. McLaren boss, not Zach Brown.
Ron Dennis.
No. The new one.
Andrea Seidel.
That's the one. She's not doing the job he's doing at McLaren, for example, but I don't think she's absolutely god awful. But the trouble is, I kind of said this about Eric Boulier. He wasn't delivering at McLaren, but he wasn't absolutely awful. The problem is, and Claire Williams is exactly the same, in any job in the world, the buck stops with the manager. If you look at football, forget sport. If you look at your local supermarket, if that store is not delivering on its projections, the manager is going to take the fall. And in that situation, perhaps Claire Williams should take the fall because she's the boss, in the same way that Eric Boulier took the fall at McLaren because he was a boss. A lot of people said that was unfair at the time, but ultimately the buck stops with the boss.
I will just say, I think Annette has absolutely nailed it. They haven't moved with the times. You can. That's why.
Mm.
That's why my point is kind of. I think she's really that sentence really has nailed it. She hasn't moved, or they haven't moved with the times. I think McLaren are the biggest example of this. I mean, I'm the biggest Ron Dennis fan. The guy is absolutely amazing, but McLaren had to look at themselves and say, we have this amazing history, but what does it really matter if we're at the back of the field, which is where Williams are at the moment? We need to make this big change. I
Ooh.
mean, I know this guy is. What happened?
Bottas has just stuck in a 1:16.2. Sorry, mate, interrupting you
Oh,
there. On the
nice. There we
C5 tyre. We're not quite at the 15.7 from last week, but that is the fastest of the day, 16.2. Only half a tenth quicker than Ricardo, to be fair. Sorry,
If
mate,
this is the
that's the
lap,
sort of thing I need to jump in with.
no, it's fine. If this is the lap that I'm watching, he's 3/10 down in the first sector, so there's
Yeah,
plenty more sand left in that cockpit for them to shovel out. Don't worry.
purple final sector, green in the middle. So that is a good lap from Bottas, definitely.
I'm literally just riding on board with him in that on that back straight. No das. Yeah, this is
Aldas says no das.
no das. It's fine. I'll let you off for 2020. But yeah, just to end the whole kind of Williams like situation, I totally get that she's filling big shoes, but McLaren had to move with the times. They made a very big decision to remove Ron Dennis, who had brought so much success to the team. He was the guy that was there when Ayrton and Prost were dominating. He was the guy that brought in and had trust in Lewis Hamilton and Mika Hakkinen as well. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Williams really. I really like Claire Williams. I have nothing against her, but I think they need to move with the times as well. It's not just about the name, it's about the experience. And you saw Zach Brown when he was put in, he didn't do the best job in his first couple of years, but then he said, I'm clearly not the best guy for this. I need to give this to someone who has more racing team management
Mm.
experience. And that's why he brought Andrea Seidel in. And look at where the team is now.
I First of all, apologies if my point wasn't made very well. I was trying to multitask and I lost track of where I was going with it. And I've completely forgot what I was going to say now as well. Oh my God, I'm so old.
That's fine.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I did. Someone in the comments said you should fire Claire. I don't think that's definitely not what I mean. I'm talking about hiring someone that has motorsport experience in actually managing winning teams, and that's the really big word, winning teams, to perhaps take that side of things into their control.
There we go. I tried to get the pictures and I got some new ones in for the last hour and a half. Yeah. I can't remember the point I was making. It's gone.
Ben
Oh, good
Farrell, Zach
Lord.
Brown inherited a bad situation at McLaren, quickly rebounded. Exactly said perfectly.
I think we had this
There's only
conversation
so
last Friday. He's a guy that's really grown on me, Zach Brown, massively.
yeah.
I know you're a big Ron Dennis fan, but
Oh no, but that's the thing. I'm a big Ron Dennis fan, but what McLaren did was the right thing to do. Sometimes, even as much as you like someone, you've got to say the right thing to do is to move on. McLaren did the absolutely right thing.
Alistair Trotter says, okay, getting tired of a 30-something complaining he's old, rolling eyes. It's not how old you actually are, it's how old you feel. I can assure you I feel older than 33. So there you go. But that could be just 6 days of streaming. That's really all that one is. My point, I've remembered my point. Congratulations. On the Williams thing, and obviously the name Williams is so iconic, and that gets hidden behind a lot of people say, oh, we can't lose Williams, they're a great name. And the moving with the times is so important, and Annette's made a fantastic point in that, as she often does. But yes, Williams are an iconic name, but we've also lost Lotus, they're an iconic name. Tyrrell were an iconic name. Benetton were almost an iconic name. I know the team is still there as Enstone, but these names disappear, teams get bought out. So if you don't move with the times, if you're not starting to deliver on performance, you are going to get... It doesn't, you can't turn around to a sponsor and say, yeah, but we're Williams, because they're just going to go, so? We need eyes on our car. I don't care if you're Williams or not. We need eyes on your car because that's what we're paying you money for as a sponsor. And then all of a sudden the money's not coming in and they collapse and they end up being bought out by somebody rubbish. Like, I don't know. Crap racing. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think the problem every single time I see Williams make a driver announcement, whether they're young or whatever, the first thing that's always out of their mouth in their first interview is, look at the history of the team. Williams is such a historic team, and I think they kind of need to get with the times. History is history. They need to think about the future, and they need to think about now, which is something that I don't think they've been doing because Claire has had total control of that team.
Listen to Will Buxton say something, as I often do. He likes a waffle, does Will. I like Will Buxton a lot. George Russell out there.
SGT Carrera 86, and no disrespect to any other co-host, but you two are the best. I mean, I'll take that, Sean.
Yeah, I'm up for that. We love you, Stuart. We love you, Dan, and everyone else that's been on, of course. But I mean, there you go, A team.
We've got to see more. We've got to see more likes though. Let's get to at least 400. We're 20 away. Definitely drop a like. Come
Are we
on.
not at 400? Oh, I
We're
was hoping
close.
we'd get the most here.
380 at the moment.
It's got to get over at least. I can't remember what the best. I mean, I know likes don't really matter on live streams. It's just a thing for me. It's a target to hit. But the best one we've had is 739. I don't think 758. Sorry, I don't think we're going to hit that. But let's see if we can get a few more on there. Why not? Don't forget to subscribe as well if you're new. Video content returning next week. Link to Aldas's channel in the description if you want to hear even more F1 waffle. There you go.
Exactly.
Definitely go and check out his channel. And there are links in all the video descriptions for the live streams for all of the guests that have been on the channel, right from Chamber all the way to who were the last ones on that were new? Mike and Jordan. So there you go. They're all in there.
How did that go, by the way? Because I was at university when you guys did that in the afternoon. How was that session?
I don't know if.
Brilliant
No,
analysis.
I mean I don't know how nervous they were when they came in, but I wouldn't have said they were nervous. And that I thought they were going to be a bit nervous because I've spoken to Jordan obviously in person and I spoke to Mike a bit but not properly, so I didn't know how nervous they'd be coming on the stream. But I thought they were really, really good. We had a bit of fun as well because Mike's microphone kept making fart noises for some reason, so that was a good laugh in the afternoon. But no, it was good fun. They did a great job, and I think chat seemed to enjoy it as well. So I honestly thought they were going to be really nervous and it might take an hour or so to get going, but they were pretty much straight in and on with it. So if they're in chat, thank you very much, Jordan. And Mike, I keep forgetting Mike's name.
I think it's because he's got a friend called Mark who's also part of F1 that does like lower formula stuff, and it's just Mark. Sometimes I get it confused, and it always takes me a second to say Mike's name just in case I get it wrong, and it's like so embarrassing.
I love people getting in touch on Twitter who are like, "Oh my god, did you know that your voice is in Drive to Survive?" Like I'm going to go sue them. Like, how dare you use my voice? Yes, I do. I do.
Where's my lawyers on the phone right now?
Solicitor. No, I do. It was all arranged. They got in touch and they were like, "Oh, hey, we represent Drive to Survive. We'd like to use this audio. Are you interested?" And I was like, duh. Yes. Let's talk.
No, I think, to be honest, the one thing that I do like about Liberty Media is they have made Formula One just so much more open to fans and content creators. I mean, of course, YouTube is not the friendliest place for, creating Formula One content, let's be honest, especially as of recent. But I think in general, I think Liberty Media have done a great, great job.
We've got Esteban Ocon out there at the moment. I tell you what, are you all right to just answer a few questions in chat out? That's while I just nip off for a quick break and then I'll come back and do a run through of the times.
Absolutely, yeah, go for it. Here
Awesome
we go,
stuff.
guys.
Get your
The
questions in
carnage
chat.
begins. The carnage begins. Right, guys, give me some quick fire questions if you want. Maldonado or Fisichella? I mean, it's got to be Maldonado. He's the king. Right, here we go. Faith in humanity restored. What do you study at uni? I don't know if anyone actually cares about that, but biomedical science. Red Bull sandbagging and no one calls them out. They're not. Well, we have talked about that. We have said that Red Bull are sandbagging. They're only doing times on the C2 tire, but they are very, very quick. Best driver in the wet out of the current crop. I still give the edge to Lewis Hamilton over Max Verstappen just because of his longevity, but Max is going to be right up there. Hunt or Lauda. I mean, it's got to be Nicky Lauda, but I'll talk about him a little bit later on. Can you do a downfall of Sauber video? I'm definitely going to restart the Rise/Downfall series, but later on in the summer. Oh my, so many guys. How do you see them? How do you see the midfield fight? At the moment, I see it in like the three best teams will probably be McLaren, Renault, and Racing Point, and then the other teams will probably be fighting amongst themselves. Who will be the big surprise of the season? Sergio Perez. I think he is such a good driver, and he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. I would ask, are you going to any races this year? I'm planning to go to Silverstone and maybe Monza as well, but not 100%. But Silverstone, absolutely. Does Bottas have a chance this year? He has a chance every single year, but when you come up against a phenomenal driver, a once in a generation talent like Lewis Hamilton, it's kind of like Mark Webber against Sebastian Vettel. So he does have a chance, but he's just been unlucky with the teammate that he has. Really, how to cook noodles? I think just dry noodles in boiling water for about 5 to 10 minutes, or maybe 10 minutes, just to be on the safe side. Uh, right. What else have we got here? Leclerc versus Verstappen. Verstappen at the moment, but I think Leclerc is. It's amazing how he's matured, and in just 2 years, he's almost at Verstappen's level. What you got to remember is that Verstappen has been in Formula One for half a decade, so he's definitely had a lot of time, but it's very, very close. Do you think Zandvoort will be a boring Grand Prix? To be honest, I actually don't, because I think the atmosphere will make up for it. I think and the banking will also kind of add to the track a little bit, and it will be something a little bit special. It's better than just seeing cars go really slowly on a boring kind of street track that you can't see any overtaking on. Hamilton 10.0 versus Bottas 3.0. That is that. Yeah, exactly. Prediction world champion 2025. Jesus Christ, I don't even know. George Russell, Max Verstappen. George Russell will be the 2025 world champion. Max Verstappen in second, and Daniel Ricciardo in third. How's that one? Best race of the season predictions. Oh, that's a great one. Best race of the season predictions. I've no clue. Let's go. Ooh, Monza. I'm gonna go Monza. What have we got else? 3 minutes to cook noodles. Are we really? Damn, that's a lot quicker than I usually leave them in for like 5 to 10. But Monza winner. Do you know what? I want Sebastian Vettel to win the Italian Grand Prix because I feel like he got really close in 2017 and 2018. He certainly had to do it in 2018, but of course he messed up at the start. But could you imagine Seb with the season that he had last year and all the struggles that he's been through, him winning at the Italian Grand Prix? I think that would be absolutely fantastic.
I'm
Hope
back.
Brazil. You're right. Yeah, we've
I'm
just
back.
been
Yeah,
running through. What do you think
you're right.
about Sebastian Vettel? What do you think about if Sebastian Vettel won the Italian Grand Prix? How amazing would it be?
That would be cool. Kind of yeah, a bit of not redemption, but just maybe get some. I don't know what the Italian fans are like. If you're an Italian fan, let me know in the chat. But I hear a lot of stuff about how they can't really get behind Vettel for some reason. So a win at Monza would certainly help that. So do his confidence the world of good as well. But I think that'd be
And
pretty epic.
and also it got a little bit heated when you left. How long do you boil noodles for? Is it like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes?
Depends
There's
what
a
kind of
big
noodles.
debate. See, I thought it's like 5 to 10 minutes. You leave it in boiling water and then it's cooked. But someone said three. I was like, what?
Yeah, if you're talking like the super noodles, the dry ones, they're only 2 or 3 minutes. But ready to wok noodles, which is what I use, just straight in and it doesn't take long at all because they're
Most
basically cooked. But yeah, there you
who
go.
just someone asked a question. Most disappointing driver of the season. Who do you think in 2020? I'm guessing predicting who's going to be the most disappointing driver. I'm gonna look. I'm putting you on the spot, mate. You got to say it.
Fiat.
Oh, that's a good shout. I feel. Do you know what? I still feel like Kvyat is a very decent driver, but I just feel like he might get shown up a little bit by Pierre Gasly. So do you know what? I'll co-sign that. Yeah, Kvyat. I think it's quite
Uh,
a good one.
Annette just saying in chat, 2 minute noodles. There's a hint there, Aldas.
I thought no, I thought he meant like proper noodles, not super noodles at like 2 minutes, like
uh,
when you make stir fry.
Forster was away. Bottas went faster, 1:16.1, and George Russell apparently complaining of suspension issues. So I will just go check actually. Williams have cropped up on timeline, so I'll just quickly have a look and see if they said anything on that. Nothing yet, no, but he has gone over 100 laps. There's some suspension issues possibly for George Russell. We'll keep it out for confirmation. Bottas 1:16.196, faster still.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was
I
listening
think.
half to Books there. I thought he was talking about something else, but I'll do a quick run through the time. I'll ask you to do them questions, mate. Give your voice a minute. You might need that. Bottas 1:16.196, 49 laps. Ricardo 116.2, 65 laps. Leclerc 116.3, 155 laps. Wow, not bad. Verstappen 16.3, 30 laps. Hamilton 16.4, 90 laps. Ocon 16.4, 51 laps. Perez 16.6, 125. Sainz 16.8, 141. Russell 116.8, 101. Fiat 116.9, 142. Grosjean 117.0, 86. Raikkonen 117.4, 115. And then you got Albon on a 117.8 on 59 laps, and Kevin Magnussen still on 16 laps, still in the pits with a 118.4. Was it a throttle issue he was having or something like that? I can't remember now. So much happens.
My brain's gone totally blank. I'm
Clutch
just like,
issue, sorry.
Clutch.
Yes,
Okay.
clutch issue for him. And possible suspension issues for Russell. And I'm just having a quick look at Red Bull, because even though we've seen Max out there, so there can't be any mechanical issue, he's
Yeah,
only done, what did I say, 31 laps?
I think
Is that
so. He
good?
hasn't had. Yeah, it's not
Hmm.
been the best day for Red Bull. They've put in a good time, that's for sure. In fourth place on the C3 type, I think it was, or C2.
Maybe again, like I said earlier, maybe they've got the mileage they need now, so they're just doing a few other bits and trying some stuff out. I know Ted was talking before we went live that Ferrari had the grid trolley out in front of the garage and were going through their grid procedure. Oh, hang on, got an update from Haas. Listen to Rachel Brooks a second. Just saying clutch issue, yeah, trying to rectify it. That's not good for K-Mag. He's, like I said earlier, he's not had many laps, and he lost a whole day or a whole stint with that crash. So
Yeah, last week wasn't exactly a great.
no.
Last week wasn't exactly a great week for him either. So I think Kevin Magnussen certainly starting on the back foot at the moment.
And obviously Haas lowest overall on laps done, laps
I
completed.
d-
So
yeah, I really. Do you know what? Especially, and again, I won't spoil anything, but certainly after watching Drive to Survive, the first two episodes, I really don't want Haas to have another bad. As funny as it is, and don't worry, there are plenty of sound bites from Gunther Steiner. I don't want them to have another bad season because I really do like that team.
yeah, maybe going back to what we talked about just a little bit earlier, maybe Williams might just jump Haas. I mean, I never expected Haas to collapse like they did last year. Obviously, tire
Yeah,
issues, but yeah.
and the whole Rich Energy situation.
Oh God, let's not get into that again. William
he's
flipping
also
story.
he he's also in Drive to Survive. So I don't want to say any more, but oh my god, when I saw him on screen, like actually being interviewed, I was like, here we go.
Somebody in chat there, Daniel Philpott says, "How's Drive to Survive?" I assume from what you've seen now, that's obviously no spoilers. It's pretty good so far.
I'm I was I was literally watching it right up until I joined Discord. I got up to the Mercedes episode, and it is absolutely amazing. So yeah, loving it. I'm thinking of watching it over the weekend and putting like a review out because I really
Hmm.
wanted to do that last year, just as like a little fun video to do and talking about it. So definitely thinking about. I'm definitely gonna do a review video, maybe like on Sunday or something.
IBX in chat, because you've not, obviously it happens, but because you've not left a gap between lap and record, I thought that said, will we see a new Leprechaun today at a glance? But I maybe. So maybe on the
You never know.
Leprechaun, but will we see a new lap record today? Bottas did a 15.7, didn't he, was his fastest. So he's still quite a way off that, I would say. 4.10s or
Yeah.
getting off a half a second. So maybe, but I think we're coming in now to unbelievably getting onto the last hour of testing. So we are in hour number 41 at the moment of
Is it
streaming.
just me, or is it just me, or has this stream gone so quickly?
Last Friday did. In fact, today's gone really quickly,
Yeah.
actually. I think me and
I feel like
Stuart just lost it this morning a bit. So
I feel like when me and you are talking and discussing, it just goes so quickly. I do actually have one question on your stream. I've wondered this for over a year because I wondered the same thing last year. Where it has the laps on that kind of box in the right, what are the little numbered dots or the red and the yellow ones? Is that tires or what does that mean?
the dots on there are the tyres they are currently on track. Oh,
Oh, okay.
yep.
I've been wanting to know that for like a year and a bit, so thank you. I can finally
That's all right.
sleep like soundly at night.
You've left it until the last hour of the final stream for a
Yeah.
while, but at least you finally know.
Am I the only one? Like, people, please comment. Am I the only one that was like wondering what that was? I don't know. Maybe I'm just losing it right now.
It's all right. Yeah.
Oh
Love it.
god.
But yes, we're on hour 41 now. We're coming up to the 42nd hour. of streaming. Not consecutively if you're just tuning in. Don't worry, I'd be slightly more insane now if it'd been consecutively. I've really enjoyed these, so I'm going to enjoy this last hour or so. Hopefully we'll get some good laps to talk about. Perez with the C1 on at the moment. Again, maybe just a little bit of confidence there for Racing Point if they're running that only one on track actually, Checo, at the moment. So I was going to say that's a good looking car, but again, it's last year's Mercedes was a good looking car, so this year's Racing Point will be a good looking car. But yes, I'm optimistic for them, but I'm just trying to look through the timings now, see if there's anybody worth talking about that we've not. I think we've covered everybody in the 6 days.
Up and down literally, because there's only so many times you can talk about the same driver over and over.
It's like Das. We talked about it all day Thursday, Friday last week, and then all day Wednesday this week. Like,
and it just sneaks into every single live stream as well. But I feel like, because when you said that I'm going to be on the Fridays, I do feel like we have a pretty good picture of where the teams are going to be. Like if I did my predictions now, I feel like I could quite confidently say where all of the teams are going to be. But in terms of the drivers, it's always just such a lottery. Who's going to have a good season and who's not going to have such a good season. So I feel like that's why there's just so much excitement at the start of every single season.
Sorry, Ted Kravitz. I was listening, mate, but Ted Kravitz just saying that, looking a bit bemused by Alex Jakes and sort of. So I think, have we finally hit the point where we've got nothing to talk about? We talk about microphones. I was like, I feel you, man. I feel you, Ted. So cheese, no. Well, pecking order. I think this is why I didn't do my predictions till after testing, if I do them at all. But
Adam James just asked, name your teams in order for this year.
There you
go. I've put you on the spot yet again. How do you like that?
I think we're looking at Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, if we're basing it. I mean, I'll tell you what, pecking order for Australia rather than for the season, because otherwise they're going to be like, but you never know. So for Australia, right now, I would say we're looking at Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, but I'm still not convinced Ferrari are as bad as they make out. Although, actually, very quickly, I'm not dodging the question. We'll come back to it in a second. I meant to read it earlier from Tammy over on Twitter.
It's her birthday today, I think.
Is it? Oh, okay. Happy birthday, Tammy.
Yeah.
I don't think she'll be listening, but Binotto was asked which area he is most worried about and said engine, downforce, and setup. So the car. I don't believe it totally, to be honest. But I think, that's probably a top 3 at the moment. I think Racing Point are going to go to Australia as 4th. Doesn't mean they'll stay there, but they will. I've got a feeling that McLaren and Renault are both quietly confident. So 5th and 6th. Let's go McLaren 5th and Renault 6th, but nothing really between them. I get the feeling I'd probably put AlphaTauri 7th just ahead of Romeo, and then I think we are Haas and Williams, although with the laps that Haas have got on, they might be in trouble. But I think that's what we're looking at the moment.
I feel, to be honest, my prediction at the moment would probably be almost identical from the first 6 teams that you said, down to Renault, but I would probably go Alfa Romeo ahead of AlphaTauri. Okay. And then I'm going to go and say Williams and then Haas. I hate to see it. I don't want to see Haas last, but this is the difference between talking about teams sandbagging and actually seeing teams that we think are struggling in testing in terms of both times and the amount of laps that they've done. And you can clearly see that Haas are not where they want to be.
Something's not right, is it? They're having issues. I know obviously the puncture for Kevin Magnussen, not his fault, and then the crash for Grosjean as well. But like I say, I said I'd do the Australia one because, put Racing Point 4th now, but come mid-season they could be 6th or 7th because they're not going to develop that car much, and Haas might be struggling in Australia, but come Spain when they get a B-spec there, they might be fine. And Annette making a very good point, but also a very good pun, said someone has to come last. That's it. But Stuart, I forgot to say it this morning, Stuart, so I'll say it now. He was talking about how he finds it weird because I don't think anybody really wants a team to finish last. So that 10th place is a little bit weird. But at least 10th still gets prize money because obviously the prize money is handed out to the top 10. So everybody gets prize money still. Whereas if we had an 11th, I remember a few years back, was it Manor and Caterham? I think Charles Pic got a really good finish and it cost Manor 10th place and a lot of money or something like that. So now we don't get
Sauber
that.
as well. Back when they were, because there was an entire season where Caterham were ahead of Sauber, and that would have been a lot to them, and they were in the money spot, And then I think it was right at the end of the season. I think maybe even been at Brazil. One of the Sauber drivers just got like 1 or 2 points, and that's it. Tens of millions of pounds gone from Caterham.
Yeah. The black mark tyres are the I think they're the prototype Zandvoort ones if
Yeah,
they're
that would
running them
make
today.
sense.
So
Yeah, I think
Science
Carlos
is
Sainz.
apparently on them.
He, yeah, I'm literally watching him right now. I think he's on them. Do you know what? There is something really cool about having absolutely nothing on the sidewall, black tires.
Um,
That's really cool.
Fusion sniping. I don't think Haas is that bad. It will just be very close because the midfield looks very close. Long run is where we need to focus on. Absolutely, and you're right. It is going to be close in midfield, but like Annette said, it's difficult because somebody's got to come last, but you don't want to put anybody last because Haas might be struggling now, but Bahrain they might be incredible and suddenly be top end of that midfield. It's really difficult because you can't read much into testing. Long run pace, absolutely. The laps they're doing, so I've only got that to go off. So
But
I
even on
think
that, but even then, Haas aren't exactly looking great in terms of their long.
they're looking okay, but Williams are looking okay, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're not anything spectacular, but they're not terrible or anything like that. I mean, Williams last year was shocking in testing, as we remember, but 352 laps total, by the way, for George Russell. If you're interested, there's an 104 today. Who's gone over 100 driver-wise? Leclerc, Perez, Sainz, Russell, and Kvyat, and Raikkonen as well. Team-wise, Mercedes are obviously over 100. Renault are over 100 as well. Ferrari obviously are. Red Bull, not quite, but could be if Verstappen gets back out again. Racing Point obviously are. McLaren are. Williams are. AlphaTauri are. Haas, do you know, funny look, Haas are, despite the fact that K-Mag's not really done anything this afternoon. So there we go. Alfa Romeo are as well. Last hour, we're inside the last hour. Final quick rundown. Bottas, Ricardo, Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton, Ocon, Perez, Sainz, Russell, Kvyat, Grosjean, Raikkonen, Albon, and Magnussen. And not a final rundown. I don't want a half pass with proper times, but that's your
Yeah.
top 14 at the moment. So there we go. Last
And if
hour.
any of the Formula One drivers or teams are watching this stream, which I'm sure they are, because
Of
they have to
course.
be,
They've got nothing else to do, have
go
they?
out there. Yeah, exactly. Go out there and give us some headline times. Just Bottas he started well with that 1:16.2, but go out and give us something to be a mate to kind of talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, F1 teams.
Stop
Get out there and give us
sandbagging
some
it.
laps, you devils. I'm trying so hard
Oh,
not to swear. I,
that pause. I was like, here we go. I do have a question actually. Just another thing that I was thinking about. You know, when we talk about like the best drivers in Formula One ever, and do you know like when people say sometimes the Mount Rushmore of like basketball? Have you ever heard that expression?
um, yes, like a Hall of
So
Fame type thing.
yeah, so
Yeah.
kind of. So also chat as well. I want to know what four drivers would be on your Mount Rushmore of Formula One. Like what they don't have to be necessarily the fastest, but in the entire history of Formula One, what drivers would be on your Mount Rushmore? What drivers have had the biggest impact, or perhaps they just personify Formula One? I mean, what do you think, Sean? What like four drivers would you pick?
I mean, if you're going with best, you go with your four most successful, wouldn't you, in terms of championships? But if you talk about impact, I mean, I don't know if I can go with four, but I'd certainly consider Jackie Stewart on there for what he did for F1 safety.
Yeah,
I think that's I mean, if you're going to have an impact on the sport, then saving lives is a pretty massive impact. If we just go, yeah, but then I could get stretched. Go, well, what about Sid Watkins, not a driver, but what he did for safety? So maybe not. But
yeah.
yeah, I think Jackie Stewart could be in with a nod there for that. But I think in terms of pace and in terms of success, I think you're looking at Schumacher, probably Hamilton, fanboy, Fangio, maybe, but I don't know. It's difficult because Farina, for example, was the first world champion. So should we give him a nod? Sort of thing. I'm probably
Yeah.
look. You can tell me I'm overthinking it if you want. That's absolutely fine.
You've still got. I think you still have one more. You still have one more driver to name. I think you said Hamilton, Schumacher, and then you said Fangio. Who's that last one for you?
Again, from a success point of view, you're looking at Prost, but I'd be looking at maybe Stewart or Clark, and I'd maybe even
Okay.
drop Fangio for one of those as well.
Because for me, there's three drivers that are a must on my list, and that is Lewis Hamilton because of the modern success that he's had with Mercedes, arguably the the most efficient Formula One team of all time. next, it has to be Michael Schumacher because I feel like it would almost be wrong to not have a Ferrari driver on Formula One's Mount Rushmore, and he is Mr. Ferrari. Senna has to be the third one for me. The natural talent, the charisma, the kind of mystique around the driver, and just the talent that he was. And then that fourth spot perhaps is a little bit, where you can change it. But for me, it would have to be Nicky Lauda. To be honest, maybe Fangio or Clark are right there, but for me, that fourth spot has to be Nicky Lauda. Just purely, not just the championships actually, but for me, he personifies that risk that all the drivers took in the early days of Formula One. The crash that he had, the fact that he almost died in that crash and came back to win 2 more titles. I feel like he has to be. He represents that really gritty generation of drivers that were risking their lives even more than anything else every single time they got into that car. So for me, that'll probably be my 4: Hamilton, Schumacher, Senna, and Lauda.
You have a car, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Can you drive up to Lincoln and punch me in the face? Because how can I forget about Ayrton Senna?
That's a long drive, mate.
What the?
That's yeah. That's a long drive. I'll let you off this time, but if you forget him next time, exactly,
punch me in the face. There's people who live near Lincoln going, "I'll do it."
Chat, I will pay you anything up to 25p and a bar of Freddos. Go for it. That's my net worth at the moment.
Wow. Yeah. I've got to move on.
But
that's humiliating. I've even got a Senna helmet behind me. That is terrible. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Stop digging. Just move on from this one. That was embarrassing, Sean.
Bottas still fastest.
I do just want to say, Ikran Makto in the comments, I wouldn't beat up an old man. Well said. Yeah, could not agree more.
Rude. It's incredibly rude. Bottas' time was a C5. I think, yeah, C5 for his fastest time. Jack's on his way to Lincoln. You can punch me in the face, mate, but you take him for a pint afterwards.
Have you given him his $3,000 back?
Yeah, it's gone. He's so tight, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm unbelievable. People are just not generous nowadays, are they?
No. Sean Root said, I think Racing Point has not much to show anymore. A few people actually were saying this on Twitter yesterday that maybe what we're seeing from Racing Point is everything they've got and that everyone else isn't sandbagging, and maybe that's why they look so impressive.
I don't know if you agree with me on this one, but because a lot of people are saying, I don't see the point of anyone below the top 3 teams sandbagging.
No.
Jolyon Palmer said something as a driver, especially in those teams, you cannot sandbag because you don't actually learn about your car unless you push it to the limit where it can go. You can't even develop it for the start of the season if you don't push it to the max straight away. So as much as we don't know fuel loads and as much as we don't know fuel loads, programs, I mean, we do know tires, but at the same time, we don't know how much they're pushing or not. I still feel like the teams don't sandbag below the top 3 teams.
It goes back to what we're saying about Claire Williams and testing, and she's talking about what's going on there? Kimi Räikkönen is not in his car. There are no wheels on that car. Rachel Brooks is giving us an update, but it looks like Kimi's done for testing, and Alfa Romeo. Yeah, they're taking the car to bits. Alfa Romeo done for testing.
That's it.
So that's it. But I was just going to say, go back to what we said about Claire Williams earlier. She's saying that they want more track time, they want more testing time. Well, then that backs up exactly what you're saying. They haven't got the time to sandbag. They need all the laps they can get and trying to see what they've got. So, yeah, I think it's ridiculous for midfield teams to sandbag. But at the same time, if you're a Renault and a McLaren and you're a bit confident and they're in direct competition, maybe they'll sandbag a little bit. But I don't think in the same way that Mercedes do, for argument's sake.
Yeah, for sure. Mercedes last year, the way they did it was, to be honest, it was quite impressive the way they did it last year. They sandbagged to perfection in terms of what they did on track and the way they handled the media off track as well. And this is the thing about sandbagging. What it does is it just raises expectations for another team and puts even more pressure on another team. It raises their expectations more than yours. And when they don't do as well, it just relieves a whole bunch of pressure off your team.
Daniel Philpott, Kimi's off for an ice cream in the middle of February or the end of February in testing. Thank you very much, by the way, to Thomas I will say thank you in Discord later as well, who is a patron of the channel and has been for a while, has just sent a very generous contribution over on PayPal. So thank you very much, mate. Said, I've got to read this now without losing my voice. Hello, Sean. As last year, you are getting 10% of my weekend's gig money and about 10% into the short SM7B and 25% of the road NT1 APAC. He's been advising microphones for me. Bless him. Thank you for a couple of great weeks. Lots of fun with noodles, waffles, and pancakes. Cheers from the DJ, my wife, and our cats, who also have been hearing your stream while we are at work. Thank you very much, mate. Really, really appreciate that as always. And to all patrons as well, whether it's the $10 patrons or the $1, massively appreciate all of you. So thank you so much for helping support the channel. And I'm sure at some point, if not today, we'll definitely talk over the weekend, Thomas, in Discord. So thank you very much, guys. That's huge. And thank you as well, actually, while I'm doing it, in case I forget later, because I might do. Everybody, we set that target of £500 at the start of testing, and we've done 762.87, and that's not even updated from the last couple that I've had. So thank you so much to everyone who's helped me do that. And I will get shopping for a mic. Maybe hang on for the Easter sales, maybe, but I'm definitely going to get one. So hopefully be all sorted soon for a proper decent mic. So thank you so much, guys. Massively appreciate it once again. You're legends, really. It's the best way to put it.
Yeah, no, that was really great. That's so great to hear, especially like because we always put a lot of. I don't think people know how much effort and how much of our lives we put into YouTube, but it's so great whenever we read like positive comments or even good criticism or just really supportive comments. It really does mean a lot.
It's just nice to get something every now and again that isn't get lost, I hate you, go and die. Do you know? It's a little bit of an exaggeration. Most people are brilliant. It's just every now and again you get one. But that's the internet. We've got loads on track, by the way, Aldas. Kvyat, Russell, Sainz, Perez, Ocon, and Leclerc. So we might get some laps soon.
Hopefully, it should be kicking off now for this last 50 minutes.
Jack's buying a Blue Yeti mic. Hope to join you on street. I've got a Blue Yeti here somewhere, mate. Going cheap as well, $3,000. To you anyway. I'll let you a discount. Mates rates, 2,900.
Mates rates.
They're showing the calendar again. I don't know why. They just are. We know it by now. Starting Australia, ending Abu Dhabi, China's off.
Okay. I was hoping that out of nowhere we'd have Brazil as the final race of the season. Now that is a reason to show the that is a reason to show the calendar again. That was a great final race of the season. Like I get the fireworks and the drama and just the display of Abu Dhabi at the end of the season, but Brazil was it was always something else.
I'm just listening. Sorry, mate. I'm just listening to Chase Carey.
That's all right. What's he saying?
Doesn't want to get into hypotheticals on things you can't predict, as you'd expect.
Well, then he shouldn't have turned up to testing then.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about. Yeah, I'm just seeing the calendar. Yeah, postponed, China postponed. I forget how quickly Vietnam actually comes up and Zandvoort as well. They're going to be kind of, one after the other now. I do still 22 race calendar. I hate to come back to it. I just think that's ridiculous for the teams. Like I don't think people realize how much work it takes, not just to build the cars, because they don't go to sleep and go on holiday during the winter break. They're in those factories developing those cars, having obviously meetings and things like that, and looking into the season and planning so much ahead as well. And then they have 22 races. That's just crazy, honestly.
Some interesting stuff from Chase Carey there. Like I say, just pretty much saying it doesn't make any sense. It's not productive to get into dramatic hypotheticals about the coronavirus right now. Their plan is to go racing for a full season and enjoy it, but obviously the situation has still been monitored. So PR spiel, pretty much, is the only way to put that. The stuff he's already saying. He's not to turn around and go, "Oh my God, we're all going to die," or anything like that, is he? I know, but yeah, so that wasn't really worth listening to. So apologies for going quiet there. I just thought he might give us something, but no.
I do. Someone, Marcus Dilly in the comments said 22 races is bad for the teams, but good for the fans. Absolutely. And I think it's like, I wish there was a race every single weekend. I'm not going to lie, but I understand kind of the bigger picture of just how tiring it is for the teams. And also ahead of a new regulation change as well. So even more even more time for the teams to be spending in the factories and away from the racetracks. And also,
Uh,
Sean, have you heard about the Concord Agreement? Has it been signed? A new one has been signed yet or not?
no, I think it's due to all be signed off in March, so any time from tomorrow. Funnily enough, I keep forgetting. Oh no, not tomorrow. Sunday. We're 29 days this year, aren't we? In February. So yeah, March is what the last I heard, and I think there's still some debate about it. But as from the stuff I've read, I think everyone's going to sign up. There's going to be some moaning, and there might be some changes to the regulations and the rules and whatnot. But I think they are just going to sign up now, and off we go.
It'll probably be just Ferrari at the 11th hour being the only team not to sign up, just trying to trying to argue something for their favor or trying to get something from Formula One, and then right at the end, right before the time ticks over, they're like, "Yeah, okay, we'll sign it, whatever."
Yeah, it's one of those. We get it all the time with Concord agreements. There's always somebody not happy, and in the end, everyone signs up. So, yeah, it's just Ferrari
Do
being
you,
Ferrari. Bless them.
actually, do you think Ferrari will ever leave Formula One?
No,
No, neither do I.
no.
I never take Ferrari threats seriously. I've never even like given it a thought, because it's just I never. It's not just about the racing; it's about the brand itself. The truth is that Ferrari is Formula One and Formula One is Ferrari. It's always been like that, except from the first ever race in the championship, because Ferrari didn't bother to turn up because the money wasn't high enough. But after that, they've been, I think, in every single race, and it's just the amount of literally Formula One is their advertisement. It's where they
Mm.
display they display their technology and their ability, which transfers to what they make on the road, and it's why the brand is as loved and as expensive as it is. So I never see them. I never see them like leaving.
Nah, I think. I mean, you never. I mean, right now, I can't ever see it. You never know what's going to happen, do
Unless
you?
they, yeah,
But
unless they go bankrupt or something.
yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I've said it before. Ferrari developed road cars and supercars and all of that, but it's F1. F1 is what they're here for. Whereas if you look at like Renault, road car is their priority and them racing, whereas Ferrari is just racing. That is what they do. So yeah, I think they'll stick around. People asking again about the black tyre. It's a Zandvoort development testing tyre thing, so not a represent. We don't really know what compound that is properly. It's not representative of anything, but Science is running that today. Not really much. We had a few on track a minute ago, but Leclerc's gone in and done a practice start. I think Verstappen's doing the same. He's on an out lap, and Russell's out there, but a few coming in now. So, Ocon's out the car, so I think he's done. Are we all wrapping up early today?
Looks like it, yeah.
Ocon's done. Raikkonen's done for the day. So that's Alfa Romeo and not Haas, Renault done for the day. So, well, they're still working on the car, so maybe he might get back in. He might have just nipped for a quick toilet break, but that could be the last time we see Renault before Australia, which is very exciting, by the way.
Yeah, I still can't believe it's only it's 2 weeks away today, really, isn't it?
So Williams have started packing up as well at the garage anyway.
Well, that's
Russell's
it.
on track, so
Sky, roll credits now with
yeah.
40 minutes to go.
I mean, to be fair, they've got to get the garage packed up and that, because they'll be flying out to Australia next week, won't they? If not straight away. So
Yeah.
straight to it, 2 weeks, and then a week later it's Bahrain, then 2 weeks it's Vietnam, in theory.
I'm excited
As
though.
things stand.
Every single season there's always something to look forward to. And I think this year, I mean, for me, it is kind of the records that Lewis Hamilton can break, because it could be such a historic season. But I'm sure for some Schumacher fans, not that I know too many, it's going to be they're going to be watching with their fingers over their eyes for most of it.
Verstappen's gone out on the C4 for a lap. See what he does. Ooh. Is that a 10th? It's a 10th up on Bottas. I think we're about to get a lap from Max here. Finally. So he comes wide out of turn 5. Nicely down. It's a proper lap as well. Through 7 and 8. Obviously not everything necessarily turned up. Looks pretty nice, that Red Bull on board, actually. Through turn 9, and I wouldn't say flat. I think probably a little lift through there. I can't really hear, obviously, with me trying to commentate. He comes through. He's quicker again than Bottas in the middle sector. Personal best as well. I think Max might be about to show us a little bit of what Red Bull have got. But, of course, as we keep saying, it's only testing, so this isn't completely flat out. But is Max about to top the timesheets? He's certainly going to be moving up. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't. So 16.196 on the C5, remember, from Bottas. He's very wide through there. He's not going to beat it. And he backed off across the line big time. Max Verstappen backed off across the line big time there. 17.7.
I love the way that as you were commentating on that lap, I'm just there watching the Renault guys, their spanners.
Yep.
How much did he? I'm watching the lap now. He's just going round turns into turn 6 now. How much did he back off on the final straight?
A lot. I like I said, I can't really hear it very well because I've only got it on low and whatnot. So
yeah, Red Bull have. I think we've talked about this. They might not be having the best day in terms of laps, but they're not. They're sandbagging a little bit. They have got so much pace in that car. It could be a really good season for Red Bull.
He went very wide out of the penultimate corner, right on a sausage curb. So that could be why he was slower, but he definitely backed off on that straight.
Yeah, just watching. He's on the penultimate corner now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He did. He got that kind of rail effect where he just takes you where it goes.
So he might have backed off for that, but he also might have backed off because he doesn't want to show us what he's got.
Oh yeah, down the straight. I don't think the Honda engine is that bad where he's going down the straight at one point at 196, and then as he goes further, he's going 195, 194, 193, 190. I don't think the Honda engine is that bad down the straights.
No.
Yeah, he backed off big time.
So yeah, Red Bull got more.
Chipmunk 101, it's testing. Yes, we know it's only testing. Yes, we know we can't look into the. That is not going to stop us getting all giddy seeing a quali simulation. We just love it too much.
We're watching Will Buxton here for some reason.
I'm still watching him go
Loving
that
the lap.
sausage curve. Yeah. Come on, Max, go for another one. Yeah, go for another one. It was a slight error in sector 3 and then a total just let off the gas right before the line. So pretty much tells you exactly what you need to know.
Bottas is still in the car, so he's not giving up. He's going to go for some more runs, but I think I'm going to just double check Twitter, actually, mate. You make your point. Sorry, I was talking over you.
I was just going to, actually, well, since you're going, I do want to ask, do you guys think, and again, comment, I want to get your thoughts on this. If Max Verstappen doesn't win a championship in 2020, is he going to get frustrated? And do you think he made the right move staying with Red Bull? Although it was obviously the most obvious option, but he did have the opportunity to at least wait out the year and see what happens with Mercedes, see what happens with Ferrari and Sebastian Vettel's position. Because I feel like this year is a very big year for Max. Because if he doesn't get it now, I feel like he's going to start getting very frustrated very, very soon.
Nothing from Renault and Alfa, by the way. Alfa Romeo. I need to start saying Alfa Romeo, don't I, this year? Neither of them have said that there about what's going on. But Ocon is not in the car and has gone with his coat on round the back. And Kimi Räikkönen's not in the car and has started taking the car to bits. So that's it for Alfa Romeo. I think Max will get frustrated if he doesn't challenge for the title this year, because I think Max is desperate to challenge for the title.
I think a lot of people are taking for granted the fact that he's been in Formula One now for 5 and a bit years. He's going into his 6th ever season. That is not a young driver anymore.
You say, was it the right call to stay at Red Bull?
I think it was definitely the right call to sign for Red Bull, but I still am surprised that he didn't at least wait the season out and just see where it would have gone. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have signed to Red Bull, and I'm not saying that Mercedes and Ferrari were massive options that were on the table, contract ready to sign. Of course not. Ferrari was always going to be a long shot. Mercedes were always probably going to sign up Bottas for 2021, but at least wait the season out, and then you have the teams coming to you, or at least you can ask around a little bit. The fact that he went so early, maybe it was just to try and give the team more confidence ahead of the year.
Ocon isn't done for the day. He obviously went for a wee. He's getting back in the car. Esteban is going to be going out for a few more laps. But I think a couple of people in chat saying, where could he have gone? I don't think you're saying he should have led. You've just literally said you don't think he should leave Red Bull. He should have maybe just waited to see what Ferrari did. But I think even if a seat opened up there, do you leave Red Bull to go to Ferrari? And as Annette's saying there as well, I think he's got the time to take the risk of staying at Red Bull. But Red Bull, you could argue, were on par with Ferrari last season and might even potentially be able to be ahead of them this year. Maybe.
And he is the number one, obviously, at Red Bull.
he's not going to get number one status at.
I feel, do you know what I feel about this number one status? And we hear it a lot in Formula One, but I always just think like, regardless of whether you're considered a number one or two, if you're quick enough, if you're quicker than your teammate, does it really matter like whether someone says you're number one or number two? If you're quicker out on track, there's nothing that a team is going to do during a Sunday that will make you fall behind your teammate.
It depends what you. I mean, it depends how you define number one, number two. I think there are several ways to look at it, but I think from a Max Verstappen point of view, he's number one in that they're going to build that car and team around him. Whereas number one and number two at Ferrari, although they're saying they're equal, would be different in that it might be that they get. I mean, like we've seen in the past with Hamilton and let's say Bottas, for example, when they've got to a certain point where Bottas isn't in the title hunt, suddenly it becomes a number one, number two situation. Whereas Red Bull are very much what I'm going to call Schumachering Verstappen, in the sense that that is his team, it is his car. Albon is there to be his number two. That's how I would define a number one, number two driver situation. But I know others look at it differently. Like I say, maybe equal status until mid-season, and then maybe pick a number one, number two. But
See, I get the whole.
it's not the same as it was.
Yeah, I mean, do you consider Mercedes a number one and a number two driver dynamic with Hamilton and Bottas? In the same way that it was maybe in previous years in somewhere like Ferrari with Alonso, Massa, Schumacher, Barrichello.
I don't think it's to that extent, but I definitely think there is more of a lean in that team towards Lewis. I don't think it's the same as the Schumacher, Alonso, Ferrari time, but I definitely think that car is more. But you would, wouldn't you? If you were Mercedes, you put a little bit more behind Hamilton.
I feel, to be honest, I feel like you'd be forced into doing it just because of how quick Lewis is and how good he is. Where do you actually? Where do you actually see Lewis in the halls of Formula One up against all of the other drivers? Where do you actually rate him?
I'm dodging that and putting it to chat.
Oh, I knew how.
I'm dodging
oh my
it.
god, I've been waiting to spring that one literally for about 3 and a bit hours, and you dodge it. Fair play.
I tell you why, because I've done this on streams before with people who have asked me that question. I will not definitively rate it. I did a top 5 right at the start of the channel. I did my top 5 drivers of all time, and Lewis Hamilton wasn't on there, and neither was Sebastian Vettel, and people got really mad at me. But the point I made was I refuse to rate them until they've retired and we know exactly what they've achieved and exactly what their legacy is, because I think that's an important. But that, for me personally, that's an important part of how to why I rate a driver is what legacy do they leave behind and what exactly are their stats. If I were to say now Lewis Hamilton's second, for argument's sake, second best driver of all time, and then he goes on and wins 9 world championships, I'm moving him again. So I would prefer to just wait until he's retired and we know exactly what he's got. It's not a cop-out, it's a genuine, that's how I do it.
Oh no, I understand. Yeah.
I was the same with Schumacher, and I always feel like Schumacher was the same, and I think Hamilton is the same. They won't get the recognition for what they've achieved until after they've retired.
Yeah.
And
See, for
comparing
me,
eras as well, like Annette says, is difficult too.
Yeah, for me, my view is totally skewed because I only started watching Formula One in 2012. I mean, I've seen so much stuff on Ayrton Senna. I've seen so much stuff on Michael Schumacher. So that's the only way I judge. But as far as Fangio and Clark, I don't know anywhere near the amount that I'd want to know to even try to compare even Hamilton or Schumacher to those drivers. But to me, from what I've seen, Hamilton has got to be right up there because like the thing I always separate with Schumacher and Hamilton has never needed to try and crash people off. He's never really needed someone to try and help him during the race, like an actual number 2 driver. Like Barrichello did to Schumacher in so many times. And that's why I kind of rank him just a little bit above Schumacher. But when you talk about their wet weather driving and what they can do on track, we've seen, they're right up there in terms of the very best. But that's kind of what separates Hamilton to Schumi for me.
There you go.
There you go. Because
I love how I avoid that. I will do when he retires, I promise.
Yeah, I do remember watching that. I've seen that video of your top 5 drivers because Fangio I think was number 1, and there were some amazing statistics that you said about him. How I think there was one season where there may have been like 9 races and 8 of them. So he has I think he has the record for the highest percentage of wins in a single season in terms of races. And yeah, I remember that video was back in the day, wasn't it?
It was one of my very first videos.
So, I'm an OG, Sean. I remember it. Don't worry.
What time? Well, we're coming up to the last half an hour, so I'll do a run through the lap times again and what's going on track or going on out on track. And then we'll spend the last 30 minutes taking a load of questions from chat then, I think is a way to go. So we'll start with the times. Obviously, Bottas still fastest, 1:16.196, 59 laps, although I suspect Max Verstappen might have just pipped that one if he'd not run wide onto that sausage curb and then backed off massively. Ricciardo, 1:16.2, 65 laps. They were both set, by the way, on the C5 tyre. Charles Leclerc 16.3. He was also on the C5 tyre at 166 laps. Max Verstappen was on the C4 tyre when he did his 1:16.3, so only a couple of tenths off Bottas on the compounds harder, so 35 laps for him. Lewis Hamilton, 1:16.4. 90 laps. That was done on the C5 as well, the fastest time. Ocon 1:16.4, 58 laps. Perez 1:16.6, 147. His fastest was on the C3. I can't remember what Ocon's was, sorry. Sainz 1:16.8, 151. Russell 1:16.8 on a 125 or 125 laps. Kvyat a 1:16.9, 147 laps, a 1:17.0, 86 laps for Grosjean. Raikkonen 1:17.4, 115 laps. He is done for testing. Alpha done. Albon, I was going to say, Albon, 1:17.8, 59 laps. And the last guy is poor Kevin Magnussen, 1:18.4, 16 laps, still in the garage with a clutch problem. And with half an hour to go, whatever happens, even if they put him out there now, he's not going to get many laps in. So K-Mag not having a good test, to be honest. So yeah, out on track at the moment. Bottas, Verstappen, Ocon, Perez, and Russell. I think all teams except Red Bull are through 100 laps now for today. So there you go. I'm still hoping with half an hour to go we might get some good hot laps. But Ocon's out on the C4, but not exactly flying. So I'll keep an eye on him. But we will take some questions from chat for the last half an hour and wrap things up.
Let's go for it.
Can't believe we're at this point already.
Which driver impressed / disappointed you most in testing this year? I mean, in terms of impressed, I'm going to say Sergio Perez, number one, or maybe George Russell. It's a toss-up between those two. And disappointed, I'm not sure I'm disappointed in these drivers, but I think K-Mag, just because he hasn't done as many laps as he would have wanted, but it's not because of him personally.
No, he's had a lot of unlucky, the puncture which put him in the wall cost him an entire afternoon. Another problem here with his clutch. I feel for him. I really do. Very unlucky. Thank you very much to Akan again, by the way. Russia 20K18 Al Das Wingman. There you go. And I had another one in just there from Marcus as well. Thank you for your contribution too, mate. Said, we need more, Williams, we need more testing days. Also, Williams, all right, guys, let's pack up with an hour to go. It's about right, isn't it? To confirm, they were just packing up the garage, not the driver. So,
the way you made it sound, it's like they packed them up in like boxes and filled them with like those styrofoam things or something. Yeah, a perfect,
in the box,
perfect
George.
Outline. A perfect outline of George Russell and Nicholas Latifi, and just like, see you in Australia, boys.
Just wrapped in paper and string with a stamp on the
Exactly. And then like a sticker, fragile package or something inside. Don't drop.
Al wants to know Ford versus Ferrari or Rush. I haven't seen Ford versus Ferrari yet, so I'm going to have to say Rush.
It was, that's a really good question. I'm going to go with Rush just because it's a Formula One film and I know much more about that story, but Ford versus Ferrari was so great. I don't even go to the cinema to actually watch movies because I watch them through other sources. But I did go to see Ford. I did go to see Ford versus Ferrari. I actually went with my parents, which was kind of strange because I don't usually watch movies with my parents, but it was so good. Like the acting, the way it was filmed, all the shots were beautiful, and then the actual story itself and the cars were really amazing as well. But even when you're watching, like there is a few moments where it's the classic. The guy behind always somehow has another gear to jump into, like that classic kind of racing thing. But I'm going to go with Rush, but Ford versus Ferrari was a great movie for car guys and especially a great movie for people to get to know the story of 60s Le Mans racing.
Max has gone second, 16-2. Personal best first sector, personal best second sector, and not personal best. In fact, not a great, stunning third sector. Not bad, but not great. And
he let go off the throttle again, no doubt.
I think we're doing it on board, so we'll soon see. But yeah, not quite fastest on the C4 as well. So he's only a tenth off Bottas with a compound harder. But again, that caveat, it's only testing. You
No,
can't
no,
read anything
okay,
into it.
now that's it. Is Mercedes in trouble?
Yeah, that's it. I'll look at Verstappen, dominant for Red Bull going into Australia. Yeah, it's only testing, but it's always nice to get a good lap on the board. It's
Right,
kind
yeah,
of
I'm
I'm
watching
kind of
that.
want to keep answering questions, but I'm also kind of really want to watch Max Verstappen's onboard lap.
I think I'm literally on board right now. So he's going around the final corner. Is he going to back off? Because it's pretty easy to tell.
I
Right,
think no, that's his. I don't know how
Oh no,
far behind you are.
no. I did. Yeah. 0.07 behind. He definitely backed off before the line. Yeah,
We're watching a
that's
full
how
on
far.
board lap now, so I'm just great radio commentary. This I know, but Max is going around corners.
That was brilliant. Yeah, Max Verstappen going round, and then Sean's like, "Wait, I don't think, but maybe."
Yeah.
This is going so smooth, isn't it?
Into that final chicane. So this was his fastest lap at the moment I'm watching. So through that chicane, not as wide as before. Just trying to watch. Oh, I don't know if he lifts. Oh, I don't
It
know.
looked like he did a little mini Barrichello Austria 2002 there.
Maybe not
Maybe not as much,
foot to the
but
floor. But yeah, second. This is what I love about testing. It's like, oh, did he lift? Did he lift?
but
Yeah,
the
but
times
second
don't
anyway.
matter.
Times don't matter, but it does matter. We've had nothing for
It
2
doesn't,
months.
it doesn't stop us. Yeah, it doesn't stop us talking about it. At the
Is
end
he
of the
off
day, man,
again?
he's still pushing, isn't he? If he's going
He is
green,
going again.
it's not like
He is.
nice.
2 tenths up in the first sector on Bottas. Times don't matter. Here I'm getting excited about a potential quali run.
Yeah, I think people are just hating us, and we're such hypocrites, especially me, because I'm always like, guys, times don't really matter because it is testing. But I'm the same guy that's like,
Wide through
oh my
7.
god, he's lifted.
Really wide through 7. Come on, Max. Let's just top the timesheet. Let's have another car. No, not in the no. Down in the middle. It was final sector he lost the time last time though, for one reason or another. So I'm just it's his second run on the C4, so there's a bit. He's gone straight across at the chicane. So that's that one. Max. Oh,
I mean, that's
never like that guy.
That's not good enough, is it? God, I knew he was overrated.
Mango, what will be the story of the 2020 season? Hopefully an epic title fight. But if not, and it ends up going one way like it did last year, watch that midfield. That is going to be where I think the story, and especially, and I don't want to get into a debate about this because we did this last Friday, but Ocon and
Ricardo
is a great lineup.
This is going to be my most anticipated probably storyline of the entire season. How is Ocon going to be? You know me, I love Ocon. How is he going to be?
Fan.
Is he going to prove me wrong in that, and that he is a future world champion up against Ricardo? Because I talk Ricardo a big game, there's no doubt about it. But will Ocon be able to prove me wrong? That's going to be my number one kind of storyline for the season.
Spider Monkey, Sean, be careful. Many F1 YouTube channels getting terminated. Example, Chazza HD and Arav. Arav was a glitch. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
That was confirmed. And Chaz's channel was taken down for trademark infringement.
That was so.
I feel for the guy, but
yeah,
it's really. I don't want to get into it too much because I've already spoken to Chaz about this a lot last week.
It was the logo, wasn't it?
Yeah, we think it was the F1 logo within his logo. So FOM were completely within their rights legally, but it's very heavy-handed for a 10K YouTube channel.
Crazy. Like no warning.
They don't have to ask. They don't have to say, please take it down, but they could have just sent an email and said, come on, mate, can you take that logo out and we'll leave it at that, but don't do it again. But yeah, really heavy-handed. But they are, unfortunately, and we were talking about this the other day, actually, me and Stuart, unfortunately, as YouTubers, we're not very well protected. You're at the mercy of copyright strikes and trademark infringements, and I think trademark is, that's not a good law to fall on the wrong side of, but I do think, again, they were within their rights, FOM, but I think what would it have taken to send an email to him and just say, take it down? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly,
Seems
yeah. Even
harsh.
if it was like, even worst of worst, it was like, you have to take down all of your videos or something of a ridiculous reason. At least he would have been able to keep his channel and restart it. But like what they did was just so harsh. And there was also some really horrible comments like, why is he getting so upset about it? Like, honestly, guys, YouTube is such a massive part of our life. Could you imagine all the work that you've put in? Like, I mean, Sean, and your YouTube channel is just gone. I honestly would be so depressed. I'm not sure what I'd do. I'd be exactly like him. It's so scary to even. I don't even want to think about it, to be honest.
I think I'm not going to go. I know Chask. Obviously, I've worked with him before he went off and with his new channel and whatnot. But what I would say is to people saying that to him, that is really unfair. But also, you never understand a person's situation. I don't want to get all preachy, but again, without getting into it, Chaz had a lot of other things going on. And that YouTube channel for him was everything, and it helped him with what else he had going on. So for him to lose that, of course he was going to get upset. I would be devastated if anything happened to this channel and I didn't have half of what Chaz has to go through. So there you go. We'll leave it at that because I don't want to get all preachy at people. But yeah, Arabs was a weird one. I remember talking about it. I think it was just confirmed as a bit of a glitch more than anything.
Because I messaged him as well. It was really weird, like just out of nowhere. But it was a completely different situation. He was always going to get his channel back because it was just a glitch that was happening, and he got it back quite quickly actually. But even though, like with my channel, I'll probably talk about this later on. But like even I've scoured because I've seen the article and I've seen like the thing that Formula One put up about their logo. I don't know if you've read that as well now, because I definitely try to read up as much as I can. But I use the Formula One font, and I was really like worried about that because obviously I use it in all my thumbnails. I use it in my banner as well. So I don't think there was anything about that, but I'm seriously reconsidering just changing even the font. But I don't think Formula One, there was nothing that they said that they go after about using the official F1 font. But yeah.
Again, we'll move on. I am going to move on now, but we'll probably talk about this afterwards quickly, actually, mate. But I was surprised by just how much is trademarked when I looked through the F1 stuff. We'll leave it at that. We'll talk in a bit, Aldas.
Yeah, this is going to be a long stream conversation, but back to the track action. This is the sort of well-rounded commentary you're just not going to get on Sky. I'll tell you that for a fact.
Exactly. We're hard-hitting nonsense.
Yeah, in true Nicky Lauda style, with no BS. We keep it 100.
Magnussen. Good news. Magnussen's on track.
Nice.
He needs it. Now, come on, K-Mag. C5's on, mate. Fastest time. Make up for it. What time is he on?
Give the team something to be happy about.
He's on the C4s, to be fair. 17.4. 21 laps moved up to 13th now. So he's on the C4s. So there you go. James says, I've been out. Has anyone put in a blinder? I think Max Verstappen's was, for testing, quite a good lap. C4's compound harder than Bottas and only, a 10th, if that, off. So, and we suspect some gamesmanship in there as well. We're not 100% sure. So, yeah.
Did you just see that Max Verstappen going past Lando Norris? I don't know if anyone else saw that. The middle finger. That's brilliant.
I love that.
Oh, man, this new generation, they're just different, aren't they?
Do you know? No, I completely forgot we're streaming now. I was about to say something that I probably shouldn't say live out.
No, go for it, mate. Go for it.
I'm not going to. It's not F1 related, so we're not.
Everyone just shut your ears for a little bit.
Yeah, shh. No, I'll tell you in 16 minutes. People are like, oh, you can't do that, but I didn't mean to. I was reading something I shouldn't have read, and then I was going to say something really, probably a bit bitchy, actually, to be honest.
We'll save it for the next time.
We'll save it for next time.
We'll save it for my channel. That's it.
Bottas is Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen is in for some C3s, but I think, are they putting him in the pits again already? So it was a practice pit stop, but I think he's going straight back in the pits. Bottas what are you doing, Valtteri?
To be fair, after the triple Australia mishap twice in 2018 and once in 2019, I don't blame them for doing more pit stop practice, let's be honest.
Bottas, curious, 17 minutes to go, has gone out on the C1. What's going to happen here is either he's just going out to do a little bit of a short, long run, if you like, so something just a bit of race pace testing, or he's about to go out and put in a 1:13.1 on a set of C1s, and we're all going to go, oh. Just give him the trophy now.
The rest of the teams, you could just pack up now and come back in 2021, let's be honest.
Just stop development on this car and just get straight on to next year. So we'll keep an eye on Bottas. John
see
T wants to
John
know
T.
what happened when he was in
Yeah.
the pub. First of all, if you've been to the pub and we weren't invited, get out. I don't want
Yeah.
you here. Uh,
Rude.
long runs. Long runs. Max Verstappen put in a proper half decent time on the C4s with a bit of backing off, we think. Magnussen had a clutch problem, so that's cost him most of the afternoon. He went out, did about 4 or 5 laps, and then came into the pits, and that looks like the end of his day. Kimi's gone for an ice cream. He's done for testing. But otherwise, it has a lot of long run stuff. Well, you see from the lap count, actually, Leclerc, 175 laps, 150 for Perez. That's pretty much been the story of the afternoon. But yeah.
And also Bottas did go fastest, I think, at one point. Oh, of course, yeah, he is fastest now. So, yeah, Mercedes just shoveling a few of those sandbags out the car.
I've got the timing screen up now, the official one, because I'm determined to see what Bottas is up to. I don't trust him.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I think he's got a bit of like, is that Flovis on the back of his car? It looks. I
Could
don't
be.
think it is because it's not yellow. It's like there's definitely something on the back, lower back of his car. It's like blue or something.
It could be Flavor, because I, despite having watched since '92, as I keep saying, I've always seen Flavors as bright green or yellow, but I've seen purple, red, and blue this weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definite Flavors on the back of that, or talcum powder.
Someone's had an accident. They're like, whoops.
Just
As,
oh
as we
god,
cut to Ted Kravitz. What's he talking about these days?
it's Ted.
Man Mohan in the chat. Why do Haas seem worse than Williams? That's the big question. They genuinely do seem like they're perhaps even behind Williams. So hopefully that's more Williams making progress than Haas falling behind. But yeah.
No. Bottas isn't doing anything special, so that's okay. Phew.
Oh no, no, no. No, it was the way I was making my point and just came in like, nope, and I was like, what?
Don't argue with
Here
me.
Don't argue, guys. It's kicking off now. Oh my god, I do love these live streams. Like some of the stuff that happens. You are the best F1 channels out there. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy.
That's what we like to hear.
We will keep coming to chat. I'm just keeping an eye on what Valtteri Bottas is up to on that C1. It says C5 on. Oh, that was his best lap. Never mind. Ignore me. It's fine. Yeah.
If he's doing best lap on the C1, oh boy.
Raoul wants to know my favourite ice cream.
Chocolate.
Ooh. I mean, I could go really. Rum and raisin's pretty nice, but mint choc chip or raspberry ripple. Oh no.
See,
Vanilla.
like I've never been into like vanilla. Oh my god, yeah.
Vanilla ice
That's
cream's good, but there are better flavours.
Vanilla ice cream is literally the Simon Lazenby of presenters.
It's all right. If we're going down the Ben and Jerry's route, I am a big fan of most Ben and Jerry's flavours. Shockingly, fish food.
Wait, what?
You see, fish food is a flavour, but it's not actual fish food. Don't worry.
To be honest, I'd be kind of disappointed if it wasn't. Like, I mean, that's talk about false advertisement.
I know, terrible.
Someone in the comments reminding yet again that Sean is on Drive to Survive Season 2, Episode 9, at the 20-minute mark. I know it by heart.
Wow. How did he get on there? Gobshite.
That's unbelievable. What are they thinking, madmen?
Oh, Max has got a nice, fresh, shiny set of C4s or C5s on with 12 minutes to go. He's in the pit still.
This is it.
I know. I keep doing that. Like, rub my hands. Here we go.
He's waiting for the perfect conditions on track. The temperature is just absolutely, it's there. Everything's there. Come on, Max. Just set the times ablaze and give us something to be happy about. Not that I dislike Valtteri Bottas, obviously.
I'd like a Red Bull. We've had a Mercedes on top of the times. We've had a Ferrari. We've had Alfa Romeo and Renault. So let's get a different team. Let's get a Red Bull or a McLaren up there, top of the times. Would be good. Just for variety, no other reason.
I was going to say, to be fair, Sean, when you said Mercedes have been at the top of the times, that it's been the same story for about 6 years now.
Yeah,
so
true.
Yeah,
That is very true.
Come on,
I'm waiting
Max.
for Max. Come on, Max. What are you on? Tyre wise, not interested. C4 by the look of it. That's might not have updated yet though. C5. I was going to say C5 for Ricardo, but he's not even there. He's gone home. That was his fastest time. So it is the C4.
Small boy in the chat. Yeah, yes, guys. Comment the times that you think Verstappen is going to set. Something crazy.
Yeah, comment the
Get your
times, and then after you finish commenting the times, just drop a like on the stream to let us know you've done it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Please love
The
me.
message we can only receive the message if you've dropped a subscribe on the channel. Hashtag road to 100k for Sean.
Tom has said a 109.6. That's ambition.
I like it. Could you imagine if someone came out with like a 112? Oh my days. Here we go. Is he out on track here? I think no, he's not. Is he?
So just Will Buxton apparently saying to Jolyon Palmer that he thought Racing Point might win the race in Australia. Does Will Buxton drink?
I'll tell you what. I cannot wait for Australia if that's the case.
I would be very surprised. Come on, Max.
Come on, here we go.
I feel like we turned into the Max Verstappen fan channel, but that's not what it is. Just somebody other than what we've had so far on top of the timesheets would be good. So here he comes round the final corner. Do I go for a quali commentary lap? Nah.
Please do, because on my screen he's only just gone past the first corner.
No flappy DRS. That's good news. He's going into turn 1 now. Through 1. Nicely on the apex there. Through 2. I love turn 3 in Spain. Sparks flying off the back of the car as it's getting a little bit darker out there now. Obviously, sunset not quite yet. A bit of traffic ahead. Looks like a Haas. So K-Mag's back out there. He's nearly 3/10 up in the first sector on Valtteri Bottas.
Oh my
sixth
God.
gear, 7th gear into turn 5, down to 3rd. On the exit, good exit. Or Widener, a bit of a good exit, but across the razor curb, as I'm going to call it there. He's going to flick it through turn 7, 4th gear and 5th gear, really wide on the exit of 7 through 8, super quick through 9 into 7th gear. He's going to go into 8th now, DRS wide open. Listen at me like I'm a crofty. Into the hairpin, or what is sort of a hairpin, a little bit twitchy through there at turn 10, back up through the gears, 5th gear for turn 11, then through 12, hanging in there really nicely, that Red Bull actually, liking that one. Then through 13, and then we got the chicane, the stupid chicane of turns 14 and 15 on exit, 3rd gear, 4th, 5th. Still switching up through the final corner over the line. He wasn't quickest in the middle sector, and he has definitely backed off the cheeky Dutch swine. But over the line he goes with a 1:16.7. I hate Max Verstappen.
Oh my God, Max!
He got me
just
all giddy
pack your
then.
But the best bit of commentary I've heard all year long, no doubt. My favourite part was going into the hairpin. That's maybe not a hairpin or something like. Maybe
I always call turn 10 a hairpin, but it's not quite a hairpin, but it kind of is. But yes, there was 100% backing offage. In that
backing offage,
big time coming across the line there. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Max, why have you done this to us? Like
that also, ladies and gentlemen, is why I'm not an actual commentator.
I'm literally watching the lap right now as he goes around that right hander on a sector 3. He's 3/10 up, going into the last couple of corners. It looks to be fair all good here.
Nice and tight. You wait for the line, and he basically just pulls up and parks.
Right, I'm watching the speed. So 230, 240, 250, 260, 250. Oh my God, what? 170, 160, 150. Oh my days. Jesus Christ.
I must stress I was joking when I said I hate Max Verstappen. I wasn't. Just the fact that he got me all giddy then. I did a proper commentary for it, and then he backed off across the line. Ooh.
Oh my day. He literally went from 250 like kph to 160 in the space of 100 meters, 200 meters. Jesus.
I don't know if they do it to the fans or whether they do it to like commentary like Crofty and pundits who are all like, oh, I wonder if this is going to be it for Red Bull. I do wonder if like Christian Horner's on the pit wall or wherever going.
Literally, he's listening to this stream. He's literally listening to us like getting so excited about this lap, and then right on the 3rd sector, he's like, Max, back off. Oh my god.
Charles Leclerc on a
Is
C3 tyre, though. He's going to go for a
There we
run, but I
go.
wouldn't expect any. I mean, if he goes and does a belter of a time now, that might. I do still think that there is something in maybe teams trying to grab a headline time before we sort of end before Australia, because, get people excited, but also as Leclerc pits. But they were doing this yesterday. Seb Vettel went out a couple of times on C5s and then was like, I'm going to go. Nah, not really. And then pitted. So I think there is a little element of gamesmanship from maybe teams to a point not to wind up pundits, but maybe to wind them up a little bit. Maybe.
To be fair, Joska van Stein, or hopefully I pronounced that right, he did say, why do teams like not drive flat out in testing? And that is like, to be fair, when it comes to like quali runs and like that exact and lap when you can clearly see he backed off? That's a good question, but I think it's just the teams don't need validation of being quick. They can see in sector 1 and sector 2, he's 3 tenths up on Valtteri Bottas. They know exactly where they are, and they don't need that added pressure of being number one because they themselves have the data and know exactly how fast they are. They can look at like Max Verstappen's fastest 2 sectors that he did on that lap and his fastest last sector that he did on another run on the same tire, and they know where they are.
We have 5 minutes to go in testing, but are we ready for some conspiracy talk? Are we ready for this? Breaking
go.
news. Genuine breaking news. This is from a number of sources, but the FIA have been in touch to multiple sources to say they've completed their investigation of Ferrari's power unit, but will not tell anybody what the details of its findings are. But the statement issued, a bizarre statement from the FIA, said the following. Oh dear, here we go. Ferrari International Assistance. The FIA announces that after thorough technical investigations, it has concluded its analysis of the operation of the Scuderia Ferrari Formula One power unit and reached a settlement with the team. The specifics of the agreement will remain between the parties. The FIA and Scuderia Ferrari have agreed to a number of technical commitments that will improve the monitoring of all Formula One power units for forthcoming championship seasons, as well as assist the FIA in other regulatory, I can never say that word, duties in Formula One and in its research activities on carbon emissions and sustainable fuels.
Brilliant.
Ferrari ran a legal engine and they've reached a settlement, and that will explain why that engine that was so powerful suddenly had no power after they were found out. And as in chat there, basically paid off.
Man, that Ferrari International Assistance, I need to get their number on. That was brilliant.
Oh, what a wonderful way to end testing. That is like the ultimate tinfoil hat tease before Australia right there, and we still don't know what's going to happen when we get there, when everyone starts protesting each other's cars. But there we go.
Guys, 2020 is going to be one of the best Formula One seasons of all time. The protests, the illegal cars, and just the absolute sandbagging that we've seen so far. So definitely tune in. Oh boy, you just can't write this sort of stuff, can you?
I think essentially what that boils down to is they've investigated the engine. It perhaps wasn't legal, and they've been paid off. And they're also going to help with other things as well. So, I mean, that's just me. It might not be. That might just be a really badly worded statement, and I haven't had proper time to process it, but it's cheeky. And it's an odd statement. I've never read a statement like that from the FIA before properly.
That's brilliant. We're not going to share the findings of our report with absolutely no one except from Ferrari, but they have slipped us a tenner in our back pocket, and then we're going to forget about it.
They bought us a pint.
Yeah.
There you go.
Brilliant. So, once again, the classification thrown up for my screen anyway from Sky.
Yeah, they're just showing some highlights from testing now. So we've had Magnussen's crash, we've had Ricciardo in a spin. Yeah, quite a bit happened yesterday. But they are wrapping up by the look of it. So I'm keeping an eye on the screens as well for timing to see if anything updates. But I think we are almost done. In fact, we are 2 minutes to go. Rather astonishingly. Right then, chat, before you all disappear, I will run through the times one more time while you're doing it. I'll give it a minute, actually, just in case someone does a lap. But Australia, who are the team to beat this season? I know it seems obvious, but there might be some differences. Do you think Red Bull are going to be able to spring a surprise? Do you think maybe Ferrari have been telling a few more little porcupines and they're more competitive than they think? Or do you think this is Mercedes' year? Let me know in the chat. Who is your top team for Australia? Let me know. I might not be able to read them out, but we've got a few Red Bulls in there already. Racing Point, Williams. Everyone's saying Williams. There you go. Go on then.
Aldas. Yeah.
Especially a lot of Mercedes. Right now, Aldas, I would say Mercedes still probably just got the edge, but closer than Red Bull and Ferrari are probably making out.
Yeah. I think I would be surprised if it's not Mercedes, knowing their history around that track, knowing how strong they've been during testing, and just in general how good they've been basically throughout the past couple of years in that track. Although definitely a shout out to the pink Mercedes, no doubt.
Definitely. I think Racing Point are ones to watch.
Do you know what?
Definitely
Forget
for
it.
this
Sergio
season.
Perez, pole in the win. Said it. You heard it here first.
I would give my right arm for a Racing Point front row lockout in Australia. Number one, because I think it'd be brilliant for us as fans to have a bit of an underdog up there at the front. It'd be fantastic for the championship fight, but also politically, it'd be bloody epic behind the scenes. That content makes itself.
Oh yeah, plenty of videos on potentially illegal cars coming up in.
Yeah. 10 seconds left of testing in 2020, and the next time you see the cars on track will be Australia in 2 weeks' time, and that is it. Testing is over for 2020, and we know nothing.
Exactly.
What a surprise. I could have told you that on day one. Yes. There we go. All done and dusted. Your final order then. Valtteri Bottas, 1:16.1 on the final day, 79 laps on the board. Verstappen, 1:16.2, 45 laps. Daniel Ricciardo, a 1:16.2 on 65 laps. Charles Leclerc did 181 laps today. Wow. 1:16.3. Wow. Lewis Hamilton, a 1:16.4, 90 laps this morning. Esteban Ocon, a 1:16.4, 73 laps. Perez did 153 laps today, 1:16.6. Carlos Sainz, 1:16.8 on 161 laps. George Russell, 1:16.8 on 144 laps. Daniel Kvyat, 1:16.9 on 156. Grosjean, 1:17.0, 86 laps. It was a 17.4 for Raikkonen on 115 laps. Kevin Magnussen in the end got an extra 11 laps on the board after his problems with a clutch problem this afternoon. 27 laps, 1:17.4. And your final runner for today was Alexander Albon on a 1:17.8, 59 laps. He spent a lot of the morning in the garage in the end after suffering some kind of spin and issues from there. But that is it for testing. Thank you very much, Aldas, mate. It's been a pleasure again this afternoon. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, Australia next. I try not to get I'm like a kid. It's ridiculous.
I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling it. Thank you again for having me on. Thank you to the people watching. Just before you do go, yet again, just drop a like just before you do leave. But again, just thank you so much. And wow, only 2 weeks left till Australia. There are still so many unanswered questions, but we've certainly had maybe 1 or 2 answers in testing, but we won't know until we get there. So yeah, once again, thank you so much, and look forward to the next time.
No worries, mate. Thank you very much again. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to talk to you in a few minutes, but I'll drop you off the stream now.
Bye, guys.
Awesome. Thank you very much to Aldas. Thank you to you guys as well for tuning in. It's been a pleasure again today, and all through the last 6 days. It's been fantastic. There are your final standings. I'll leave them up for this one rather than going away just for a second. But super quickly, I'll do as quick as I can. Thank you so much again to you guys for all tuning in. Thank you to everybody who helped to smash through that target at the top of the screen there. Follow me on Twitter, link down below, and I will keep you all updated on what the process is and what mic I'm buying and all that sort of thing. But like I say, we might just wait for the Easter sales for that one, but we'll see. But thank you so much for all your contributions. Massively appreciated. Thank you as well to everyone who subscribed and dropped a like on the streams and interacted with us, just generally speaking. Thank you to some surprised people in chat, actually. I think we had The Race were here at one point. WTF1 were here this morning. So thank you very much to anybody who dropped by from other channels as well. And a massive thank you, of course, to, can I get them all right, to Chamber, to Dan, I'm going to say Stuart rather than Chamber, but to Stuart and Dan, also to Chris and to Jamie, to Jess, to John T, to Mike, I always forget his name, poor Mike, and also to Jordan as well for coming along, keeping me company on the streams. It's been absolutely fantastic. You've been brilliant, and I owe you all more than a pint, let's put it that way. So thank you so much to all of my guests. And again, thank you to you guys in chat. I will be back next week on... I'm not going to give a day. We'll see. I'm disappearing for the weekend now. I'm going to have some chill time. But yes, watch some Drive to Survive. But I will be back next week. Videos returning to the channel as you would expect. Maybe some post-testing roundup or something. And then we'll be looking ahead to the Australian Grand Prix. And again, I will let you know on social media what the plans are for the channel this season. But I'm going to wrap it up there. So thank you all. I can't keep saying thank you, but I need to. Thank you all so much for your support this last 2 weeks. It's been fantastic. But other than that, give me a follow on social media, links down below, and I will catch you all next week at some point. Thank you again. Bye-bye.